For all your Mets here, let's go. Bring it home. Bring it home. Bring it home Make it happen. There's no stopping us now. We're gonna do it again. It's not a question of how. It's just a matter. It's just a matter. It's just a matter of
Hello again, everybody. Joe Piscopo, Shea Stadium. The big story. Mets 86. Exciting, thrilling.
What's up, Met fans? Welcome back to Talking Mets It Rob. Mets pregame live here. Mets versus Tigers and our New York Mets. Got swept in a doubleheader, have been playing extremely bad, mostly because our starters can't hold up in games, giving up a ton of runs, and putting this offense behind the eight ball, it seems like every single game. But we got another ace in the hole coming today. Justin Verlander, his first start as a New York Met, facing his old team, the Detroit Tigers. So we got Justin Verlander on the mound for our New York Mets. Let's hope that he is going to be a stopper for this rotation. Scherzer didn't pitch well yesterday. Verlander, we're hoping, can be a stopper for this team and stop the bleeding and get us back on track and get us in that W column once again. So once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. We are here for game 3 of the series, looking to avoid a sweep today against the lowly Detroit Tigers. Man, the Tigers, I tell you, one of the worst offensive teams in the league, and they were hitting Mets pitching all around. Completely annoying, pissing me off. I know you guys have been pissed off, and that is something that we just can't let happen, right? We can't get swept by this team. We got swept yesterday. We didn't look good at all. We didn't look like the offense didn't look good. We damn sure know the pitching did not look good. And that is something that has to change today at 1 p.m. where the Mets face the Tigers with Justin Verlander on the mound. And you know what? I know fans have been down on the Mets. I know they haven't been as good. And I get it. 100% get it. But here's something right now. Right? For all the people that were bitching, moaning, and complaining about the lineup, the Mets have scored the same amount of runs they did last year at this point in the season so far, but there's one difference. The pitching staff. Mostly the rotation has not been good. And that is something that every day it seems like the offense has to come back with runs. And they have to continue to come back in games. It becomes the same thing over and over again. We keep on talking about it. I don't care how good your offense is. Your offense can't constantly fall back in a deficit every single day, and they have to catch up. It's not the way you play, but it's not the way you're going to win a lot of ball games. And the one thing this rotation hasn't had all season is a stopper. And what I mean by that is a pitcher when your team is going through tough times, you need somebody to stop those losses, stop that momentum, that losing momentum, and turn the tide. Get that W, put the team on their back, and get the win. Now, I don't think Verlander is going to throw 9 innings or, throw 130 pitches or something like that. But give this offense a chance. All right? It seems like every every game by the third inning, the Mets are down by a couple of runs. Give this offense a chance. It sucks when you didn't even get out of the first inning and you're already down by runs and putting pressure on the offense to come back. Let this offense, give them a chance. And this is what I think Verlander is going to do. I think similar to what Scherzer had to do last year when DeGrom wasn't going to start the season, Verlander is gonna have to be the guy to be the stopper on this team. We don't know if Scherzer is the same guy anymore. We don't know if it was just the layoff that he didn't look good. We shall see. But they have to win this game. You cannot get swept by the Detroit Tigers and end up coming back home against the Rockies. These are the wins you have to have. And I do think Verlander, who's been in a lot of big games, who's been an excellent for almost the majority of his career, almost all of his career, has been so good in the regular season. And when you see the Astros, when they were struggling at times, here comes Verlander stopping the bleeding and getting them back on track. They got to get right today. I don't care how you do it. I don't care if it doesn't look good. Win the ball game. Sometimes you just have to pull your sleeves up and get it done. That's what the Mets have to do today. No more playing games. No more excuses. I didn't like what I heard from Scherzer. Oh, it was about getting healthy. It was about this. Shut up. You got rocked by a team that barely hits home runs and barely scores runs. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear it from the offense. And again, I'm not. Should the offense scored more? Yeah, sure, of course. It would have been nice if the Mets would have scored some more runs in game 2. But after the way they lost in game 1, and then right off the bat, the Mets were down in game 2 as well. So not only were they down in game 1 right away, they were down in game 2 right away. What Verlander needs to do, I know the Mets are, coming up at the top of the first. The first thing they got to do. Now, if you don't score in the first, all right, fine. I want to see Verlander put some zeros up in the first couple of innings. So the offense, if they got to, get it together, but at least they know they're not behind. And I think that is the major thing that this year, the amount of times that our starters have basically gave up runs early and already put the team behind. It's staggering how many times this year it already happened. It seems like it's almost every day. And I do think we're going to see why we signed Justin Verlander. I know he had the Teres major injury, but if you really look at that type of injury, it's a very minor injury considering the fact that a lot of baseball players don't get it. And it's something that even when he was out, he didn't shut himself down and stop throwing. He was still throwing. So I do think Verlander is going to be the guy that I'm not saying he's going to be Cy Young like he was last year, but be the Verlander, the ace Verlander, and I'll take that. And that's something that we just have to hope for at this point because, Explosive said it, I don't know what Scherzer, is it Scherzer? Is the pitch clock really affecting him? And it's affecting him more than we thought. Is it him breaking down quicker? Is it farther time? I don't think so. I think it usually doesn't hit you with a ton of bricks. Like usually it's a gradual decline. And I know the last couple of years, with the Dodgers, he couldn't pitch in a playoff game because of fatigue. Last year it was the oblique. But when he pitched, he was still dominant. What we don't see ever since September. And again, was that the oblique? Who knows? But what you've seen this year, what is worrisome a little bit is his fastball miles per hour is a little bit down. His slider isn't as sharp. But even last year, up until September, he was sharp. He was pitching well. And he still looked like that dominant guy. Again, not throwing 97, 98, but still dominant. Again, let's let him get back into the routine today in this next week, right? He's going to pitch in his next 5th day. Let's see if he comes out again and looks bad. then we can start to worry. But let's make sure we get him back into a routine. You got to remember, Scherzer pitched twice this year, where it was on regular rest, and it wasn't the injury the first time, getting his start pushed back, and then this time was off for 12, 13 days. So and then came back. So I don't care if you are the best pitcher in the world. If you don't pitch for 13 days, your control, and it was clear that his control wasn't all there. His location wasn't there. And maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I'm not making excuses, but it's possible that could be it. Because he did have under a 2 ERA last year for the 23 games, 22 games he pitched last year, right? So he was still good really good when he pitched. So to have that drastic drop in performance, it usually doesn't happen overnight. Father Time, you'll see a drastic difference in the miles per hour. He's only down 1 miles per hour. He's not down 2 or 3. All right. He can still throw it up there 93, 94, 95 at times, but he's a 92, 93 miles an hour pitcher. So that is something that I think that he still got it. I think that he has to get into a rhythm. This year, he hasn't gotten into a rhythm every 5th day. If you look at the way he started, once he pitched the first game in Miami, there was times when he didn't pitch every 5th day. And we know Scherzer is a habit of routine. Again, not the best thing in the world. I'd rather say, hey, get your ass on the mound and pitch. But he's the guy that has to be in a routine. He got his start pushed back about 2 weeks ago, right before he went to pitch against the Dodgers. And then this time with the suspension, another long layoff. So since the opening day, he hasn't been in his routine every 5th day. Again, is that it? I don't know. Could he be done? Maybe. But to have a drastic decline, I don't think that's completely it. I just think that he's a little off right now because Scherzer's too good of a pitcher, even if he is only throwing 92 miles an hour. He's smart enough to locate his pitches, know what guys might be fishing at. I think he's going to get it. Again, there's always a transition a pitcher goes through, especially when their miles per hour dips to what they're used to. Again, usually the best pitchers figure it out eventually. And I'm not saying Scherzer can be, if Verlander can pitch the way we all think he can and pitch close to a Cy Young or even just ace material, you need Scherzer to be good. You don't need him to be great. You need him to be good, right? You got Verlander as the de facto number 1A ace. Just the same reason why we got Scherzer last year, to have that extra protection if and when DeGrom got hurt, right? It's the same issue here. And there was a lot of people on Twitter before we get into the lineup and then to the game that were talking about, oh, look, the Mets got signed this guy and that guy and signed that guy. Well, the Mets, no matter who they brought in, if they brought back the same rotation, would have spent nearly almost the same amount of money in total for their rotation, considering that Walker and Bassett got a pretty good contract. And if they would have brought those two guys back, it probably would have been that much better, right? You got Taijuan Walker, right? Everybody wanted Taijuan Walker back. He has just under a 7 ERA. Chris Bassett has just under a 5.5 ERA. So it's not like those guys are pitching really well or even good for that matter with their new team. So now I still think Walker would have been a better pitcher for the Mets than, as I kept saying when he went to Philadelphia, that is a bad spot for him because of the ballpark he plays in. And I do think that more times than not, you're going to pitch in your ballpark at least half your starts, if not more. I always thought he was going to have a problem. Now, I didn't think he's going to have a 7 ERA, but that's what he has right now. He's in his 6th start, his 6th or 7th start already, and he has a 7 ERA. So either way, the Mets are going to spend a ton of money on this rotation. It's just a matter of did they get the right guys. Well, the Mets have injuries, and the other guys are pitching, but they're not pitching well. So would it have been the same thing? Who knows? So and again, explosive. I said this over and over again. People talk about Lindor and Alonso. When they don't do anything, the Mets don't score. True. But look when the Mets lose, and including in September, what was that piece that was missing or that wasn't productive? That was Starling Marte. This lineup revolves around Starling Marte. When Starling Marte goes, this lineup is a hell of a lot better. And you saw that in September last year. A team that was scoring near 5 runs per ball game last year, once Marte was out, all of a sudden that lineup drastically changed. And again, this lineup again is scoring just about 5 runs per ball game. So it is not the lineup. Everybody wants to talk about the lineup. Again, could the lineup be better? You can name every baseball offense in baseball that you can look to get better. All right. But when you're the top 8 in the league in runs scored, or even if you're in the top 10 in runs scored, that should be more than enough. But again, we go back to the rotation, guys. When your rotation gives up 5, 6 runs per ball game, because that's where they are right now. Their runs per game is around 6. It's very hard to win those ball games, no matter how good your offense is. Even if your offense is number 1 in the league and is scoring 8 runs a ball game, if your pitching is giving up 5, 6, 7 runs a ball game, well, one flip of a coin can change a game right there, either way, wins or loss. So all we need is the pitchers to be a little bit better. You know what? Drop that down to 4 runs per ball game instead of the 6 that it is right now. That can make all the difference in the world. And that's where we are. We keep on looking at just the lineup, and that's all I see on Twitter. That's all I see. Oh, the lineup this, the lineup that. I'm sorry, guys. You know, the people who want to complain about one of the worst teams in baseball with average are the same people that came after me that's saying average doesn't matter. So which one is it? Alexander, we're not going to start this again. The 2015 Mets are a joke. Okay? Just because the result is different than this year so far, which is not determined yet, and you said the 2022 Mets is not better than 2015 Mets. You're looking at end results. That's it. You're not looking at roster. If you look at roster, you're embarrassing yourself. And again, you keep on talking about 2015. You living in the past. Even if this team is not better than 2015, has no direct result on what is happening now. Because the 2015 Mets didn't have to worry about a really good Braves team. All they had to worry about was the Nationals, who weren't as good. Because if there was any team that was somewhat good in 2015, the Mets would have never won that division. Remember, they won 90 games. Don't act like they were running over people, because they really weren't, right? And guess what that 2015 team did? They went on a couple of months run, just like the Phillies did, just like the Braves did in 2021, just like the Nationals did in 2019. All right. If you're going to worry about 2015, then watch highlights and not watch the 2023 Mets, because you're wasting your time. No, Avadi, that is the thing. We're so stuck on, oh, this team is not better than this team. The 2022 Phillies, right, that everybody said was a bad team, and let's not mistake, they were. They were one of the worst defensive teams and one of the worst bullpens going into the playoffs last year. Yet they got to the World Series. You can't explain that. Okay, what does that mean? Alexander, please go to another channel and talk about your nonsense. I can't deal with you. Who cares? Who cares? That's what I don't understand. So we're going to start the game just now. I'm going to put up game day right now, guys. Just give me a second. I'm going to put the lineup at the bottom for you guys. And it's a very similar lineup that you see against lefties. You got Nimmo, you got Marte, you got Lindor, you got Alonso, you got Pham batting 5th, you got Canna batting 6th. Hold on 1 second, guys. Let me just raise up the volume a little bit. Let me just put up. Hold on, guys. Got to get up game day up there. Game day is acting very weird on me.
Risen up and scored 14 runs in the first 2 games.
All right. There we go.
Fight has been sharp.
All right, so the game's about to start, guys. All right, let's see if we can get it going early, guys.
First pitch for Rodriguez, and fastball in for a strike, and we're underway.
Brandon in his last 5 games.
All right, here we go.
That series with the Braves at home was 3 for 21.
His on-base percentage has dropped below 400 for the first time this year. It's 398. Still
All right, come on, guys, let's go. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you can hear that. Yeah, Avadio, absolutely. And again, it's not just about good pitching. You know, it's got to be a balance. But nobody cares if this 2023 team is better than the 2022 Mets or the 2015 Mets. Doesn't matter. And Nimmo strikes out. That's where I think people don't understand. Like, the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies weren't good, but they made the World Series. Like, you can't predict stuff like that. You know, were the 2021 Braves better than the 98 Braves? No. Not at all, but the 2021 Braves won the World Series. All right, a quick 2 outs.
Gets over there and makes the grab. That ball appeared to be heading out of play, but it stayed in for Veerling. And so Marte fouls out on the first pitch, and there are 2 men down.
Rodriguez is not a hard thrower. He moves the ball up and down in the strike zone, in and out. He's a control pitcher.
Well, Avadia, besides average, he's been pretty good, to be honest. The average needs to get up. No excuse for that. But he has 24 RBIs. I mean, he's like 6th, 7th in all of baseball in RBIs. So it's not like he's like completely terrible. The average has to be up. But we ain't doing nothing with Lindor. I don't like him batting third. That's one thing I would agree with. I would knock him down. See, I like Lindor as a number 2 hitter only because of the fact that I think the third spot just puts too much pressure on him for no reason. But I like him third when he's batting right-handed because he's a way better right-handed hitter.
Some people have way too much time on their hands.
Oh, gosh.
0-2 on the way to Lindor. And that one runs inside at 94 miles an hour, 1 and 2. Rodriguez off to
Gavin, and your point is what? What is it? 1 game better? Game and a half better? What does that mean? I just, if you concern yourself, if you're a Yankees fan with the Mets and the Mets with the Yankees, you're worrying about the wrong thing. Maybe you should worry about the other teams that are in front of you, not the Mets. I mean, finally, the Yankees actually have more than one team in their division that's actually good at a time. So there's a big difference there.
His first 2 starts, he got roughed up, but the next 3 starts, he went 6, 8, and 7 innings. So deep into games.
You can certainly see early. He is a strike thrower. And he goes upstairs.
And Lindor strikes out, going to the bottom of the first, no score. Justin Verlander is coming to the mound, first time as a New York Met. Let's see if he can be the stopper that we're paying a hell of a lot of money for. First start of the year, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. I know. A little tacky, but I had to say it. Everybody else was. So, once again, guys, it doesn't matter if this team is not better than 2022. It doesn't matter if this team is not better than 2023. You know what that means? Absolutely nothing, right? It doesn't matter, right? The worst record in the playoffs last year was the Philadelphia Phillies with 87 wins. They made it to the World Series. They were 2 games away of winning the World Series. What does that mean? Now, I'm not saying not be worried about this team, but there was people last year in September when the Mets were struggling saying, oh, maybe they should have struggled early on and played better late in the season. So you got your wish. I'm out of here, but you know what? Bad teams lose 60 games and win 60 games. There is a very certain few, like one, maybe two, that might win under 60 games. And that's very rare. So most bad teams are going to win 60 and lose 60. And sometimes you fall in that trap sometimes. That's it. But again, the Mets are still on line to win 90 plus games. But Peter, that's fine. If they lose 65 games, they lose 65 games. But all you got to do is get into the playoffs. If you don't pay attention and realize what baseball has been over the last 10 years, all you got to do is make the playoffs. You just have to get hot at the right time. So if it's the Mets being a wild card team, so be it. I think we're too focused on we can't beat the Braves. No, we can't win. We can't win a division. It's not the end of the world anymore. Baseball is set up that if you don't win your division, you still got a very good opportunity as a team in your division or that one division. All right, here we go. Justin Verlander's first pitch.
Last Friday, with 4 2/3 through 69 pitches.
All right, first pitch strike. Nice to see.
Fastball in for a strike. Verlander, 244 career wins, only 133 losses. That's 111 games over 500. For a long time, was considered the best pitcher in the game. Then his career took a little bit of a dip. 2013, 2014, he was hurt a little bit in 2015, but then reinvented himself, and he came back better than ever. And then came back again from Tommy John surgery last year to put together an unprecedented season. I mean, there are only two pitchers who've ever come back from Tommy John to win a Cy Young. Jacob DeGrom did it 8 years after Tommy John, and Verlander did it directly on the heels of Tommy John, and he was so good, he not only won the Cy Young, he was a unanimous Cy Young pick.
At his age, too, missing 2 seasons.
Kid Street flies one out to center. Should be easy for VENMO.
All right, nice start. One out.
Verlander has his first out. Here's the Hyundai starting lineup for the Tigers, including Eric Haas, DHing today after his big day yesterday. Drove in 5 runs in the first game, homered in both games, his first 2 of the year. Tigers are still next to last in the American League in runs scored, but they put up 14 runs in 2 games yesterday. It's Riley Green, who has a 7-game hitting streak working. And Verlander throwing all fastballs early on.
95 miles an hour, so we can still get it up there for sure.
Darts that ball inside.
And what Verlander is so good at is location. He's a hawk when it comes to location. You know when he's going good when he hits his spots. Well, President, it's all about the pitching right now. You know, we had 4 out of 5 guys out of the rotation. That's a huge problem. Let's get these guys back healthy. Let's get the routine back. That's gone. Wow. 1-0 Tigers. Curveball, hanging curveball.
First breaking ball that Verlander has thrown, and Riley Green hits it out of the ballpark, and it's 1-0.
1-0 Tigers.
And for the 3rd straight game.
Once again, Mets pitching has been not good this year.
All you Met fans, don't go running to the exits here. This is a heck of a pitch. That's a good curveball, and give the hitter credit. And Green is right on it. That was a good pitch.
Oh, President, I wouldn't say 72 and 90. I think that's a little extremely low, to be honest with you.
20 home runs for the season. They've now hit 5 in 17 innings. Off the plate, the Javi Baez ball. Baez hit a home run yesterday, his first of the year in the opener of the doubleheader against Joey Lucchesi. Javi's been in a hot streak lately, and he drives this one out.
Oh, that might be gone too. And it is. I'm so confused about this Tigers team. They don't hit home runs, and they're killing it.
And so Verlander, Green, and Rudley, his second and third batters both go deep.
What, that same Frank the Tank that's a fake Knicks fan? Yeah.
Back-to-back home runs, and it comes against Verlander.
right over the plate. Again, Verlander with his location.
And Baez going the opposite way. Trying to pull.
Yeah, Peter, that's true, but you know what? The Mets need to hit some too then, right? In that ballpark.
He's got two. There's Nick Baton, 0-4 yesterday in the doubleheader. And he shows one.
Well, it's definitely a trend this year. Mets pitching, getting this offense behind again.
Knock the butterflies out quickly, if Justin had any. Now he's got to get himself back on the right page. Gave up only 12 home runs all of last season in 175 innings for the Astros. They've kept the call there on the slider, and it's 2-0.
That's Adam Beck behind the plate. Had a lot of plate, that cutter.
Big time fouls back the Eaters half fastball, and it's 2-1.
Hey, Joe, do the Long Island Ducks have any pitching?
2-1 to Baton. Fouls it away. Another slider from Verlander. It's 2-2. Justin's now 40 years old. Grew up in a small town in Virginia. Went to Old Dominion University, where he forged a brilliant college career. Second overall pick in the draft by the Tigers in 2004. That's 19 years ago. Ball foul off to the left, still 2-2. Rookie of the year in the American League, 2006. The honors galore. 3 no-hitters, 3 Cy Youngs, MVP, 9-time All-Star.
His last honor will be Hall of Fame induction.
That, I think, is a foregone conclusion. Now the only question is, how does he close out his career? He's on a 2-year deal with the Mets. $86 million for 2 years with a vesting option for a third year. He wants to pitch well into his 40s. Right now, just trying to get settled into this game. 2-2 coming to Baton, and the curveball, did he stop the swing? He did. And now it's 3-2. Always have those 2 good breaking balls. The little slider and the down-breaking curveball. Never really been much for a changeup.
Nice pitch. 2 outs.
Slider, and he gets Baton for the second out. So Verlander has his first strikeout as Met.
And Alexis Metropolitan defense. Alvarez back-to-back starts behind the plate. Escobar gets the start against the left-hander.
Well, it's funny, Peter. He hasn't thrown a lot of pitches
Watch and observe.
in the first.
Neil back at second base. He's always moving around. Outfield.
16 pitches isn't great, but to get out with about 20-some pitches is not terrible.
First pitch curveball, and first strike to Spencer Torkelson. Torkelson 2 for 8 yesterday and a double and an RBI. Verlander misses low with the slider, and it's 1-1.
Got it up to 96.
96 mile an hour on that fastball here. Nothing wrong with that.
Still got giddy up on that fastball.
He is a guy who changed speeds on his fastball. He's throwing 93 out of the gate. He's got 96 in reserve. Eric Haas would be next after his big day yesterday. 1-2 to Torkelson. And a breaking ball drilled to left. Canada has it lined up. And
All right.
to make the catch.
So the Verlander is out of the inning, giving up 2 home runs back to back, and just 20 pitches in the first inning. Again, not great. You want less, but he gets out of 20 pitches. Let's see if the nerves get out of there, and he pitches the way Verlander has in the past. We'll see. Well, I wouldn't say bad. I mean, 2 hard hit balls. Like, one was a fastball right down the middle, and the other one was a hanger. Gavin, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if being buddy has anything to do with it. They're not pitching well. That's basically what sums it up. Again, you count on your depth pieces who aren't better than the guys that were replacing, right? Peterson got an opportunity, pitched horrible. McGill has been okay, right? Probably one of the better ones. Senga hasn't been great, right? Everybody else, it's been what? Denny Reyes. It was other guys that shouldn't be starting in this rotation, right? So again, let's see if he gets the nerves out. One thing about Verlander, and that was the way it was last year. You saw it throughout spring when he was pitching. His pinpoint control is what makes him so good. Again, first time out this year in a new team, pitching again in his ballpark, coming back to Detroit again. Maybe all that bottles it up. We'll see. Again, no excuse. Get it done. But he gave up 2 home runs. It's not like he was getting hit hard all over the yard, right? We know that's a ballpark that the ball flies out. 1 hanger, 1 fastball right down the middle, first pitch. After that, you had 2 fly balls and a strikeout. So let's see what the Mets can do here. Pete Alonso leading off 2-0 Tigers, top second.
That's Eduardo Rodriguez. And he takes Benitez for a strike, 0-1. He went 2 for 7 in the doubleheader yesterday. Hitting .308 against lefties with 5 of his 11 home runs. And he goes after it.
See, Gavin, you're not listening. I didn't say they're great, but Justin Verlander did win the Cy Young last year. So what else are we going on? Because he hasn't pitched this year. So, and Pete Alonso struck out. Nice pitching by Rodriguez. So I don't understand. Like, you want to worry about Max? I'm not going to fight you on that. But why are you going on Verlander when he won the Cy Young last year and we haven't seen him pitch this year yet? So how do you know he's not going to be as good or close to it? Oh, I think Epler's gone no matter what, to be honest with you.
Single, double home run to snap a long over. Change up down from Rodriguez, 1-1.
Boy, it's just a funny game.
Well, Texas, if somebody would have told you Phillies Astros, you would have probably laughed at the Phillies, right? In the month of May, right? The way the Phillies were playing.
About the Tigers, they are 2-14 against the American League East.
No, I think David Stern's going to be the GM or the president. I don't think Epler's going to be here. Unless Epler makes amazing moves at the deadline and helps his team go deep into the playoffs, I think he's going to have a problem. Well, Smokey, guess what? I'll take that because that might be actually third place and a wild card, just like the Phillies did last year who made the World Series. Stop worrying about the place you're in and did you make the playoffs? That's what you should be talking about. That's a base hit. No, he didn't catch that. That ball fell. All right, so that's a 1-out hit for Pham.
And it's a base hit for Pham.
Boy, that was a sinking line drive. And that is the correct call.
Second base umpire Scott Berry got out there close enough to be able to see that ball took a little hop before going into McKinstry's gloves. So Pham's got his 4th hit at 5 at-bats in this series. The Mets have their first base runner. And now Rodriguez will work out at the stretch for the first time facing Jeff McNeil. Jeff was 1 for 7 of the 2 games yesterday. And he swings to the first pitch and flies it.
Popped up. Is it going to drop? And it does foul. Okay, Gavin. But I love how you say that when Justin Verlander has pitched 1 inning. Doesn't make sense.
Nice spectacular play.
Nice effort.
Actually, Justin Verlander already done better than Bobby Bonilla, to be honest with you.
Here's where the clock operator has to hold the clock right for everybody to get back to their position.
Wait for the umpire
up again.
Yep. We're checking these out with the pitching coach, Jeremy Hefner.
Jeremy's doing the checking. Justin's getting ready for the next inning. Here's McNeil with an 0-1 count. Jeff takes up the hand and ball on a strike. Mets have faced Eduardo Rodriguez only once before. That was late in the 2021 season at Fenway Park. He lasted just 4 1/3 in that game for ton of pitches came out. And the Red Sox wound up winning. He gave them 2 runs in 4 2/3. That's a way to McNeil, and it's 2-1. Marcano waiting on deck.
Oh, the hairstyle is gone.
Surprised because Vogelbach's been hitting with the braided thing going on.
I bet you they've been all over him in that clubhouse.
McNeil golfs one
That's
down.
another
the
one
line.
foul. That might be another
Pitching 8 times
problem.
for Staten to try to get it, and again comes up empty.
Yeah, I have no problem with people being negative. I mean, I get it.
No. Times had to go back on a couple of them. He missed it back by McNeil. It's a lot of running to get.
Okay, Gavin.
Early in the
I
day.
mean, you must love Jacob deGrom because he hasn't pitched in 2 years for the Mets. All right, he's missed a month. So if he pitches the rest of the year, he'll pitch about, what, 21 starts?
He's not giving up a stolen base yet this year.
There you go, Joe.
And a violation called against.
All right, pitching got violation to Rodriguez.
3-2.
3-2 count.
So pitch timer violation. Once the count full, we'll see if Pham is in motion here with 3-2 and 1 out.
Jeff taking his time getting in the box.
Keeping his eye on the clock. Yep. Yes, being a little alert by 8.
Okay, Gavin. I don't know if you know baseball very well because you don't.
They're not running, and it's
Both. Oh, strike. That's not a strike.
A late call by Adam Beck, and McNeil is hot.
He's got it right.
The ball looked low.
That ball wasn't even close.
So did we. Adam Beck said no, and that's the second out. 4 strikeouts now for Rodriguez.
It's a borderline strike. I thought it was low,
Oh.
and it is low, and the pitcher got the call.
And it was a late call.
Very seldom does he get upset at an umpire.
I was going to say, are we talking about the same Jeff McNeil? Usually he's only admonishing himself. Marcano homered yesterday, 2 for 7 on the doubleheader. And he takes a cutter inside. It's 2-0.
Yeah, right, Joe. He hasn't been.
With the strike zone out of the stretch, as he
But again, what is that really going to do? Is that going to make the team pitch better
That last pitch
or hit better? I mean,
a little different look coming
I'd like to see it every, once in a blue moon, but that was the same pitch he just called a strike to Jeff McNeil
2-1.
that he called the ball.
Had his difficulties against Rodriguez.
13. Pham at first with 2 down. That's down 2-0 in the second. And Pham runs. The throw by Rogers right on the money.
And Pham tries to steal second, but doesn't get there. And the inning is over. Got caught stealing. Bottom of the second, 2-0. Tigers. Well, Roberto, true. But when the Mets went 7-3 on the West Coast trip, people weren't complaining about they can't find a way to win. They couldn't find a way to lose on the West Coast trip. Again, they're going through their struggles right now. Again, there's no excuses, right? Right now, right? Scherzer came back, did not pitch well. Verlander gave up 2 runs in the first inning. Let's see what he does the rest of the game, right? There's no excuses right now, but somebody just brought up, I want to give him credit, Peter, that said, if you win 17 or 18 games a month from June to September, you have over 90 wins, right? And yeah, that's a fact, right? The Mets are just under that, right? I mean, you started the year in March, so again, right? And I want to make people picture this, right? The Mets have been bad this year, right? They haven't been good at. They've been a 500 team. Let's be honest, right? Yet somehow they're still tied. They're in second place. They're 5 games out, which a team in the Braves that should be 10 games up by now. The way the Mets have played, right? And the Mets have trickled around 500. And again, we're so focused on this team is not better than last year. Well, I hope not, because last year's team choked down the stretch. And the same people who were bitching and moaning about, oh, they played well all year and they broke down in September. Maybe they should have had a slow start and picked it up late Well, maybe you should get. Maybe that's the reason. That's what's going on. Who knows? Who knows? Well, you don't take. I don't care about the Yankees. You know what I'm saying? It's just, when a team goes through a losing streak or doesn't look good, and I do think Met fans, for all the heartache we've been through, we got spoiled last year for a team that didn't have any trouble until September. Well, yeah, Smokey, they can't stay healthy either. But again, nobody said the Braves aren't good, and I didn't pick the Mets to win the division in the first place. So, if you believe this Mets team could win a division, and that's nice pitching. All right, the umpire said it was a foul ball, but I don't think so either. All right, this umpire is being ridiculous now. The ball hit the ground, never hit the bat. Oh, Buck's out there alone. Is he going to get kicked? Is he going to get thrown out? Oh, he's staying there. Oh, hand on shoulders. Uh-oh. Oh, he's walking away. I don't know. Let's see if it did hit the bat. Let's see. No, that never hit the bat.
I don't think that ball hit the ground. I do. You do? Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah,
Yep.
the ball hit the ground, so it is.
So it's an 0-2 count to Haas. And that one's in the dirt. Same way. Same thing there.
No, it was actually a good call. The ball did hit the dirt.
So Verlander,
And they didn't call a swing on the batter, so.
in the first inning, he's bringing his sights down. So he's in the dirt, and he'll find the mid-range soon. He's going to hang around.
That's another shot, but I think Canna got that. All right.
There it makes the catch, but they're hitting some hard outs.
Well, this whole series, the Tigers have been hitting the ball hard as
That's
hell.
the third curveball that he's thrown in the strike zone.
Texas, I did
Hit the
see
home
that.
run Green, hit the home run off of it. Torkelson
KTU, I don't know. I don't know.
And now this one,
For all the trades everybody wants the Mets to make, well, those big trades are going to consider. You're going to have to probably try to trade Mauricio, or maybe they want Beatty, or maybe they want Alvarez. You ain't trading those guys now, are you? So there's your problem. And that deadline is not until 2 months away, so you got a long way to go until then.
Slider blown away. This is 1-1.
Oh, here's Verlander's home run off of Scherzer. Now the fastball in.
All right, Texas, have a good day.
And I felt that Scherzer.
Yeah, the contact is worrisome. Absolutely, I agree with you there, Smokey.
Fly ball out to right center. Over comes Nimmo to get it.
Go 2 outs.
The second out. Well, there's your Delta leaderboard, and Justin Verlander, the active wins leader. It's not likely that anybody is ever going to get to 300 again, but if anybody has a chance, it's probably Verlander.
Let's just say that if he does it, it's remarkable.
Well, Lendog, they actually have to trade them. Mark popped it up.
A lot of time for Canada to get over under it.
And a 1-2-3 inning for Verlander. So we came back after giving 2 home runs in the first and got a 1-2-3 inning. And the Mets are coming up in the top of the third, 2-0 Tigers. Yeah, you could say trade them all for Ohtani, but then you're going to have Escobar play third. You're going to have Nito catching. Let's see. You're probably going to have to trade Vientos or Mauricio. That could come up at some point this year. So again, and then that's if, and I still don't believe Artie Moreno is going to trade Shohei Ohtani. I'm sorry, right? They're a 500 ball club right now. They're in a wild card mix. If they're playing decent, or at least at 500 level by the All-Star break, they're technically in the wild card. As bad as there's not a lot of good teams in the American League anyway. So if you're hovering around 500, you're going to be close to a wild card, one of the 3 wild card spots. That is the situation. And I'm sorry, one player is probably just not going to make a difference. And, Otani probably could. You never know. But you're giving away all your prospects, the same prospects that are up right now. 2 of them that you might have to give up. Like, I just don't understand. Now, again, if these guys weren't up in the majors, then I could say, okay, maybe. But we're worried about 2 months from now when it might not matter either way. The Mets might be in a good position. I'm not saying, leading a division, but they might have a good record and be, close to a division or in a wild card spot at that moment. Maybe the pitching, we're worried about, the lineup, and, that can always be improved. Absolutely. But if the pitching doesn't get better, it really doesn't matter. You got to look at what you're going to be available to trade for and what you're going to give up. That is the other thing. So, but top of the third, 2-0 Tigers. See if the Mets can put some runs on the board here.
Third inning, Marcana back at the plate. He was batting when Tommy Pham was caught stealing to end the second. So he gets a fresh turn against Eduardo Rodriguez and throws yet another first pitch strike. Cutter is fouled off, and it's 0-2. The pitch usage for Rodriguez so far this year, the four-seamer and the cutter are the big weapons. And the changeup is a nice compliment. It seems as though he throws more two-seamers than that. He's been known as a single-ball pitcher for most of his career.
And that pie chart will tell you that the guy that moves the ball around the plate, changes speeds. The lefty. And a good one.
Well, not all lefties are the same.
I understand. Well, Koufax wasn't.
Randy Johnson wasn't.
No.
1-2 to Canna, Escobar on deck. And that's on the inside.
Strike 3 call,
Looking
1
at
out.
that two-seamer. Nicely done for his 5th strikeout of the first 7 batters.
That's a fine pitch. 2 strikes. He darted an inside corner. That's a pitcher's pitch. He looks very sharp early, Gary.
So here's Escobar getting his first start in 8 days. He's only had 1 at bat during that span, and that was a pinch hit home run against the Braves on Monday. And he takes one low for ball 1. Escobar's been supplanted by Brett Beatty, and Buck Showalter said, I need to get Escobar in the lineup because I need to keep him sharp. 1-1. Not been easy for Escobar, who's had to take a secondary role now for one of the few times in his career. And Buck said something interesting today. He said, don't let the fact that a guy is affable and that everybody loves him confuse you with the fact that he still has emotions and needs to be, able to play every once in a while just to keep himself part of the team.
All right, nice at bat by Escobar. Get it on base. 1 out walk.
1 out base run.
You don't see that a lot from Escobar.
Walk given up by Rodriguez. And that's up and on for Francisco Alvarez.
All right, Alvarez up.
Alvarez swung the bat good. I felt last night didn't get any hits, but it fell hard.
Started the night game right back there for the day game today. Nice to be 21. Yeah, he takes a call strike, nothing to want. When you're 21, you can play night game, day game, night game, day game.
You want to play every day.
His 13th start for the Mets. Escobar at first and 1 out. And he loops one behind first base, and Torkelson steps
2
back
outs.
to grab it in foul territory. That's the 2nd out. So Rodriguez gets Alvarez on the jam shot. 2 out to runner at first, and now Nimmo.
It's been a very odd way of changing up stances offensively, Ken. I agree with that. I know we talked about
Nimmo
that.
took a call third strike his first time up. And Brandon rolls one down to
Nice play.
Torkelson, and that'll retire
All
the
right,
side.
so it's a quick inning for the Mets. Offensively, going to the bottom of the third, 2-0 Tigers. Escobar working quickly. Well, once again, it's a situation where the Mets are behind again, and it puts your offense in a bind and puts them in a hole again. You're playing a team that's one of the worst in the league. You can't, we talked about this with the Nationals, and you can't get swept by this team. If you do, you got a lot of explaining to do, and you better pick your ass up because you're gonna hear a tremendous amount of boos coming back home to face Colorado. So, I don't want to hear about the weather. I don't want to hear about this or that. You guys play like shit, and you're getting called out for it, and that's what they should be getting right now, called out for it. And that's exactly what it is. Again, how many more times does this team have to be behind early in the game? Again, looking back, I was looking at the stats, the box scores at work today, and I'm like, so the Mets played 31 games, their 32nd game. 22 of their 31, now 32 games, they trailed before the fourth inning. Now, it doesn't matter how many runs they trailed by, but they've trailed in 22 of the 32 games. Now it's 23, actually, because today's game. 23 out of 32 games. They've trailed in the fourth inning. So all that tells you is that your pitchers have put you behind the 8 ball more than half the games. About 80% of your games, to be exact. That's a problem. You can't have that. And, when you're, again, I don't care what type of team you are, when you're coming from behind every single day, it's not easy to do. They'll do it from time to time, but it's still not easy to do. All right, bottom of the third, 2-0 Tigers.
To acquire Justin Verlander back in 2017, and the only one who was on the Tigers roster. Verlander sitting 200 for the year. He was very much looking forward to facing Verlander. He's never faced before.
Well, you always look forward to facing the great pitchers. When you're young, what do they got?
Particularly when you get traded for a guy,
Yes.
your name is forever linked with them. Like, who would know who Charlie Williams is, the pitcher, except that he got traded for Willie Mays.
That's right.
Rogers 0 for 3 in this series. Showed off his terrific arm when he threw out Pham trying to steal earlier. And
all right, strikeout.
That's the second strikeout for Justin, who's now retired.
So it looks like Verlander is getting into a little groove, retired 6 straight. Nice fastball. Finally, a pitcher that actually works in the top part of the zone. Seems like a lot of Mets pitchers work down in the zone, and it gets them in trouble. Working up in the zone with that fastball. These hitters now in today's game can't hit that fastball letter high.
Zach McKinstry flied out his first time up. How about Don Rose?
Verlander got 34 pitches with 1 out in the third. Pitch count is right back on track.
That the Mets got when they traded Nolan Ryan to the Angels. Leroy Stanton.
Was Gaylord traded to Cleveland and head straight up looking down? I don't remember that. I'm going to have to look that up. Tommy can get on in the truck.
To another McKinstry, who spent last
Come on,
year with
Justin.
the Dodgers and the Cubs. And that fastball just missed. 3-0. Second 3-ball count for Verlander. He struck out Maton on a 3-2 pitch in the first. And that's a
And
winning
ball for a 4-pitch walk.
Tight zones. And he issues his first walk of the day. Well, he was awfully good as a Tiger, winning a Cy Young and a Cy Young and MVP. But he was even better for the Astros, winning 2 Cy Young awards, a couple of World Series championships as well.
Yeah, the Astros did not get shortchanged.
Bradley Green bounces one foul. Green got a breaking ball and hit it into the seats in right field. In the first, his third home run. He's now got an 8-game hitting streak going.
I got to correct you here.
What's that?
1971 in the offseason. San Francisco Giants traded Frank Duffy and Gaylord for Sam McDowell. I was right.
Okay.
So Duffy came, and then you were right with the Foster deal, but then he wound up going on the Gaylord Perry deal as well for Sam McDowell.
Verlander thrown over second time now. So next time is the third disengagement. So we'll see if the runner tries to go here.
3 disengagement rule is in effect. McKinstry gets a running start that does not go, and Green fouls it off. Does McKinstry not understand what the situation was? It looked like he did as he started running towards second, and then he shut it off. So if he goes this time.
Another one of those guys that's deep towards the outfield in his lead.
He's got a very short lead. He runs this time. A check swing grounder, and Escobar's going to have to put that in his pocket.
That's such bad luck right there.
Great as an infield hit.
Threw a nice pitch and basically a half swing, and it
on that check swing.
nowhere in no man's land.
No chance to throw out the
It is,
straight.
Hayden. It is.
A little slider. Oh, that was the wrong. There we go. We've seen a lot now with a lot of the third basemen playing very deep. And you can see Escobar right now playing very deep. This has become the norm. And I do kind of agree with the positioning. Cover more ground down that third base line.
All right, gotta be careful here with Baez with 2 on, 1 out.
In the first inning, first and second, 1 out. And he takes a fastball for a strike.
Here's the jam shot.
Good pitch.
Oops, and I'll take it. Almost stumbled over the bat. He was so overpowered there.
Nice block by Alvarez.
That's a nice block by Alvarez.
Alvarez has shown a lot of mobility back there. He's been absolutely good movement, lateral movement, side to side, which a catcher has to have.
Well, he wasn't down underneath that time, and I think that makes a huge difference in being able to push off that left foot and get over like that. There's so much conversation between the catching coaches and the managers these days about the idea.
Well, Roberto, it kind of says what Ken's talking about. Their approach at the plate. They're taking a lot more strikes, and they're swinging at bad pitches as well, which is a problem. No, Alvarez has been really good behind the plate. Popped up. Should be an out for Nimmo, and tagging is McKinstry. And he will go to third. First and third, 2 outs for the Tigers.
I wonder whether it makes a difference with a guy like Verlander, who is more an up-in-the-zone pitcher in terms of Alvarez not going down on one knee.
It might be. I'm not a proponent of the going down on a knee, particularly with the runner on third. I want my catcher mobile back there.
There's Nick Maton, first and third and 2 out. Maton struck out his first time up. First pitch slider. And again, Alvarez goes down to get it, ball 1. Got Green with speed at first base. Still on bases, got 2 this year. McKinstry at third. Maton had a cleanup in this lineup. Bounces that slider foul, and it's 1-1.
Well, the 2-out RBI is always a killer for the pitcher, and vice versa. It's a big out for the pitcher.
Already down 2-0 in this game. Verlander knows the way the Mets are going right now. He's got to slam it right here. And
nice pitch.
After a high slider that time, this isn't 1-2. It's a pitch we've seen more and more the last couple of years. Pitchers needing to throw high sliders to get swinging strikes.
I don't think that was by design.
Green runs a pitch inside and no throw. So Green
And the runner still
base,
second.
his third of the year. Now they're 2 in scoring position.
That was strike 3. You saw the reaction of Verlander.
Well, that was the spot where Alvarez didn't frame a pitch, and that pitch was down the middle. That should have been strike 3, but he didn't frame it well at all. So that's the first time you see Alvarez not frame a pitch. Interesting.
2 in scoring position.
Got him striking out. Good pitching by Verlander to get out of it in the third. Nice to see a pitcher actually bear down and actually get out of an inning with runners on. So 3 innings so far for Verlander. Got out of the jam in the third. Again, you walk guys with 2 outs. Always a problem for pitchers. And again, that check swing base hit. What are you going to do? Yeah, well, Ken, I'm not going to kill the umpire in that spot because Alvarez, for some reason, I don't know if he got crossed up, but he saw the glove go down like that. So it looked like the way he caught it, and I could see how the umpire kind of got blocked by that, but it was a strike. Like, if he would have framed it better, it would have been strike 3. But it was the way Alvarez caught it that I think probably kind of blocked the umpire in that spot. Again, the umpires have been bad already, but Verlander still looks. He does look sharp. Like, he's had 2 balls that were hit really solid. So again, it's nice to see a pitcher get out of jams in situations where the Mets pitchers haven't really got out of jams this year a lot. In this situation, they would be giving up 3, 4, 5 runs already. So what was it? 51 pitches for Verlander through 3. Again, you'd like the pitch count a little bit lower, but again, I don't think he's gonna, throw more than 80 pitches, to be honest with you. Maybe 85. Well, Joe, Cardinals. You want to talk about a team underachieving? That's a team that's underachieving. And, by the way, they have the MVP. And Nolan Arenado. But it goes to tell you, it doesn't matter what your roster looks like. I think too many people focus on that. And, you got to play the game on the field, right? That's why you play the game. If you only play the game on paper, you'll never lose to a bad team, right? That's why you play the game. All right. Marte leading off, 2-0 Tigers, top 4.
In the top of the 4th. Bluffing the bunt. Takes a strike. Rodriguez is filling the strike zone. Marte watches the sinker on the outside corner for a strike, and it's 0-2.
1 in, 1 out. I mean, knee high, outside corner.
Marte fly ball that might drop, and we got a blue hit to lead off the inning. All right, come on. Well, Joe, they might be worse than us, but they're also they got nearly the same record as the Tigers, the Cardinals.
Rodriguez, 5 strikeouts already.
Yeah, in order. Outside corner knees, up in the strike zone, up in the strike zone. Outside corner knees, borderline, got the call, and then an inside paint. All 5 strikeouts, really what he had intended. Just really painting the corners and then elevating on the 2 right-handers.
It was interesting. Lindor was taking all the way on that first pitch. Watch the fastball down. Lindor struck out his first time up.
Missed that pitch right down the middle.
So Rodriguez has 5 strikeouts today. That gives him 999 for his major league career. That strikeout will become only the 11th Venezuelan pitcher to reach 1,000 strikeouts.
Lindor hits one deep. Get out. Oh, wow. It's amazing to me, though. It seems like the balls that the Mets hit don't go out. And they look like he hit that hard, too. 1 out. Looks like he just got under that.
Rodriguez poised to become the third with his next strikeout. Pete Alonso fanned his first time up. Marte at first with one out. Sterling has 9 steals on the year. The first pitch changeup off the plate, ball one.
Gary,
strike one.
How many pitches have we seen where he's hit on that strike ball?
Well, he didn't strike out that time, Ken.
Right on the corner. I mean, where the right angle is. I mean, he's just been solid.
We go a little out in front of that one.
This has been the nature of Rodriguez's career. He has been a precision strike thrower. Last year in Boston in 2019, finished 6th in the Cy Young talent and won 19 games that year.
Sorry about my camera, guys. Apologize.
He doesn't get it too high. Puts it right above the letters. He's just pretty spot on today. So far.
Last year missed half the season with a strained rib cage, made only 17 starts, but he has really hit the ground running in 2023. He looks very sharp. 0-2 to Alonso. Oh, that barely missed the second award too.
But calls that a ball.
Got that call. Close.
That was the pitch you got Cannon looking on in the third.
Come on, Pete.
A two-seamer that starts at the right-hand hitter's hip and comes back over the plate.
Going back in, Gary.
And he just missed again.
Another close pitch.
Same pitch, 2-2.
I tell you what, this young man, well, 30 years old, he's a young man, veteran, I should say, is impressive.
You know, compared to us, Keith, they're all young.
Don't go there.
2-2 on the way. That's lifted out to
Door
right.
hits the right.
Jason
That
Taylor
might
back
just
to stride.
miss.
So that's a little on the right track.
We're just missing home runs here.
Carry ball for Alonso. So that's that 2019 season we were talking about. It. You know, he was poised to build on that, but then 2020 came and he got COVID, and then he developed myocarditis as a result of the COVID. It took him quite a while to recover. It's kind of scary for him. Didn't pitch well at all in 2021. And the Tigers saw what he was capable of and signed him to a 5-year deal, and they are getting their money's worth so far this year. Tommy Pham had the first man hit. He singled to left in the second. Marte at first with 2 out. Another changeup right at the corner, and it's 1-1.
And borderline knee strike. It looks like Adam Beck is a low ball umpire. As long as you're consistent, no issue.
Pham goes after a changeup and misses, and it's 1-2.
That was a good one. I had a little late sink.
Jeff McNeil would be next. 1-2 coming to Pham. And he got it with a
And he
changeup.
strikes out Pham, and Rodriguez gets out of the fourth. Bottom of the fourth, 2-0 Tigers. Well, 2 1-and-track balls that just did not get over. Again, it seems like when the Tigers hit it, it's in a jet stream. When the Mets hit it, the wind blows. So once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. Mets Tigers game 3. Mets are trying to avoid a sweep against the Tigers. Joe, it's a whole mishmash of shit right now, to be honest with you. But they look nothing like the team that went 7-3 on the West Coast trip, right? Big hits, smart base running, better defense. Like, that was how they were winning games. And none of that's, it's not like the Mets pitching was pitching very well on the West Coast, but they were pitching a little bit better. Yeah, Joe, I agree. Like I said, it's the bottom of the fourth. Verlander, the 2 home runs in the first, but after that, he's, pitched much better. And again, with his pitch count at like 51 or so, could he give us 6 innings? Again, he probably ain't going to have a pitch count more than 80, 85. So if you do the math there, it might get to the 6th inning. Again, a hell of a lot better than what most of the pitchers have been doing. You know, he's putting up zeros the last couple of innings. You know, gave the Mets opportunities to come back in the ball game. So, all right, bottom of the fourth, 2-0 Tigers. Verlander on the mound.
The Oscar flyer.
Oh, I remember that. That kind of reminds me of what was that movie with? Oh gosh, I won't go there. I'll think of it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Spencer Torkelson will lead off in the home fourth against Justin Verlander. And a fastball in for a strike.
Come on, Justin.
Verlander got a few curveballs up. Gave up a home run on the curve, a couple of line drive outs that were very well struck on curves, and he's kind of got away from that pitch and concentrated on his fastball and his slider. And Torkelson pulls one foul. So Justin Verlander, who was the Tigers' #1 pick, second pick in the draft in 2004, facing Spencer Torkelson, who was the Tigers' #1 pick, the #1 pick in the draft in 2020, 16 years later. Generations. Slider off the plate.
You know what's funny, Joe? When you expect something, it seems like the exact opposite. It's so weird. Like nobody will have any expectations against the Rockies.
One of only two. That's driven out to right field. Back toward the corner goes Marte, and that
Foul
goes
ball.
foul.
It's you know what? It's so weird. That ball didn't look like it was hit that hard, and it nearly went out. It's crazy.
After that pitch on the outside part of the plate, and the hitter going with it with 2 strikes. See if he comes inside.
Nice view, huh?
Yes.
Finally, some nice weather here. Beautiful. 60 degrees.
It's going to be 70, low 70s over by the weekend here.
Well, but we're not going to be here.
We missed it.
It should be nice in New York this weekend for the Mets series against the Rockies.
I'm off.
Good for you.
Yep, came inside.
Here, fouled the ball off his foot.
I had a hunch he was going to do that.
So you have big plans for the weekend?
Just going to relax, and then Monday get on the airplane, fly to Cincinnati. It's got the road trip. It's got a little 3-day respite.
Oh, 4 days, really, right? Monday's an off.
I don't count it when you got to travel.
Seventh pitch of the bat to Torkelson, and he fouls off that slider.
Nice piece of hit by Torkelson, staying in that bat.
Well, Verlander's probably on a pitch count around 80 today, I would suspect. He threw 69 in his rehab start last Friday. Now at 57, working to his first batter in the fourth. And Torkelson has made it work. And he flies this
Popped
one
it
out
up.
to right. Should be easy for Marte.
1 out.
And he puts it away, 1 out. Well, Eric Haas had himself a day yesterday, starting in the very first inning against Joey Lucchesi.
Opposite field home run. There's the game winner right there off Ottavino. And there's yet another home run. He just had himself a 6 RBIs.
Started the day with 5 RBIs for the season and picked up 6 in 24 hours.
There's a good curveball right there, Gary. I haven't thrown one in a while. All of a sudden, Verlander, I think, is hitting his stride here. He looks good.
And there's another good
That's a nice curveball.
It's 1-1 to Haas. Well, the question, of course, is how much they can get from Verlander today. The Mets made a couple of moves today to make sure they'll have enough.
Let's go, Peter.
Behind
Let's go.
Justin. And Chip Sweeney takes a slider down 2-1. The Mets signed Dominic Leone, a Connecticut native who had just opted out of his contract this week with the Texas Rangers. And Leone, who had a really nice year for the Giants 2 years ago, is in uniform and ready to go. Haas flies one out to
Fly
left.
ball.
Canada got a late start coming in. Now racing in and it drops for a hit. Boy, Canada's had a really rough time in left field the last 2 days.
Well, good pitch, and it should have been 2 outs, but Canada stepped back instead of coming in, and it fell in.
Well, that's a tough one. When a hitter takes a full swing, you think he's making better contact.
So 1 out and 1 on. That barely coming up. We check in with Steve Gill. Steve?
So, guys, just a little insight into the confidence and drive of Justin Verlander throughout the course of his career. We're in Detroit, so the other day we were reminiscing about his early years here, and he started laughing about a moment his rookie season in 2006 when Kenny Rogers won his 200th game. And during the celebration after the game, Todd Jones, the closer, came up to him and said, "Hey, kid, would you sign up for that career right now, right as we speak?" To which he immediately shot back and said, "No, absolutely not." And, he laughed because he said he was just a dumb kid back then and didn't realize how hard it was to win 200 games. But by the same token, so that's probably why he is where he is right now, because even 200 games at that point didn't seem like enough to him.
Set your sights high.
Right. I think most people would have settled for the 200.
200's a nice little plateau there.
It's a lot of wins, particularly in today's game. Yep. One to Verlander and a curveball hit on
Could be a double play,
Lindor to McNeil
and it is. All right, so a double play thrown by Verlander to get out of the 4th. 2-0 Tigers going to the top of the 5th. And Verlander, looking better, looking sharper with his pitches, looking like that curveball is doing some damage now, and that slider is starting to work now for Verlander. So good, solid 4 innings so far. Again, I don't know how Verlander is going to go. He might do 80 to 85 pitches. So maybe he'll go 5. Maybe if he has a quick 5th inning, come out for the 6th. We'll see. But the Mets offense got to get going here. Got to get it going. Once again, guys, don't forget to please hit on that like button. We are in the top of the 5th coming up. Mets trail Tigers 2-0. 2 first-inning home runs back-to-back to quickly make the Mets trail once again. And the big thing, again, I went back and looked at it. 23 of the first 32 games of the season, the Mets have trailed from the first inning or before. That's a struggle for any offense. And that's not including teams adding on throughout the game as well. So even if the Mets are trying to fight back, you're hoping your pitchers don't give up more. And that's the situation where you fall into, is that right now, Verlander held them for the last 3 innings to 0s, giving his offense a chance to come back in the ballgame. Can they do it? We'll see. But offense got to get going now. And even Cohen just said it. Rodriguez is throwing strikes, right? He's not a guy that throws a lot of balls out of the zone. He throws strikes. So if you're a hitter, you got to go up there knowing that he's probably going to throw his pitches for strikes or around the plate. And especially his fastball, right? It's rare that he throws his fastball out of the zone. You got to be ready for it. So here we go, top of the 5th. Jeff McNeil leading off for the Mets.
Like, subscribe and listen wherever you get your podcasts. Jeff McNeil leads off in the 5th against Eduardo Rodriguez. He's helped the Mets 2 hits over the first 4 innings and struck out 6.
Jeff wearing the stirrups?
I think he is, Keith.
I wonder if they're a real thing where you have to put the sanitaries on first.
Ground ball right to second base, 1 out.
I mean, there was a time when guys wore those socks with the stripe on the side, but those are real stirrups he's wearing.
I love it. I love that look. Let's get those stirrups a little higher.
Here's the problem, Keith. He's 0 for 2.
I know.
If he takes an offer, he'll never wear them again.
Well, he got a bad call the first time he got punched out.
He did, but that probably doesn't help in terms of convincing him that it's his advantage to wear the stirrups. Marquette took a call, 3rd strike, his first time up.
Well, Jose, I wouldn't say that because they are scoring 4 or 5 runs per ball game, just like they did last year in their 101 wins. Again, it comes down to the pitching as well. Again, right now the offense is not looking good, and they're losing by 2 runs.
And Glavin was the sinker.
Popped up. Should be 2 outs. Quick 2 outs, and it is. Yeah, they both are Canada. And look, we know how this lineup goes, right? Nimmo and McNeil are struggling. You're gonna have problems scoring runs because they're table setters. And then on top of that, you'd even add Marte in there, which is another issue within itself.
What's he been throwing his fastball at here?
92, 93.
So he's not, he's not throwing through a brick wall.
We've got a generous call on the outside quarter on that cutter to Escobar. Walked his first time up. The only walk Rodriguez is allowed. Lays off that one away. Ball and strike. Escobar getting his first start in 8 days. Fouls one away. It's 1-2.
Well, Jay Stud, Rodriguez is not a scrub pitcher. He's actually very good in his career. But 2 back-to-back home runs in 4 innings so far. He shut the lineup down since the first inning. So
he's not using his lower body, and for him, he's just a very strong man with a terrific arm.
should end the inning, and it does. Quick 1-2-3 inning for the Mets offense. Bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Tigers. So Verlander will be coming out. I believe he has 60-something pitches. 67, I think. So once again, guys, if you don't mind, if you haven't done it yet, please hit on that like button. Unfortunately, our Metsies are kind of floundering right now. If it's not the pitching, it's the offense. If it's not both of them. I know, Ken. I know. But again, you know what? What are we going to say if it's 6 innings, 5 or 6 innings, 2 runs from Verlander? Yeah, I see it, Joe. Not good. Yeah, Peter, he can. But, we're acting like that pitcher is not a good pitcher either. He is. He's not great. I'm not saying he's a great pitcher, but he's been a solid pitcher within his career. But Mets should be hitting him. He's throwing strikes. And, like Ken said earlier, they're taking a lot of strikes. They're not really, taking advantage of him throwing the ball over the plate. And then that's the problem. When he gets you into a pitcher's count, why throw a strike, right? It's the hitter that is behind the 8 ball in that spot. So, unfortunately, you got to be better at the plate. It's just very simple. All right, bottom of the 5th, 2-0 Tigers.
Verlander, and he drives one through the gap in right center field. Nimmo's not going to get this one. Cuts it off on the warning track, and Ibanez basically gets second with a leadoff double. So Ibanez, who had his first 3 hits as a Tiger yesterday, has his first extra base.
So leadoff double.
Well, he's a swinger. A lot like Baez. Lets it rip.
But Jay, I don't understand how you can't say that. It's his first start of the year. Like, I just don't understand that part. Well, that I agree with, Jay. I agree with that. It seemed like the Mets played down to their level, the bad teams, and the Braves dominate the bad teams. That's a fact.
Let's see if the Tigers do the little thing here. They're 9-hitter, advance the runner.
corners have backed up after that first swing. And the curveball fell back, and now it's 0-2. Leadoff hitter Zach McKinstry on
Joe,
deck.
but you're going back to
Verlander
how we
struck
won
out
instead of
three,
did we win.
walked one.
I don't think it matters how you win.
Hits, all the
I think too many people are focused on how you win instead of did you win.
Back-to-back home runs in the first. This could well be Verlander's last inning, judging by the pitch count. Second high by Rogers, 1-2.
Boy, the third base coach, Gary Jones, is way down the line here. I know he doesn't want to get hit, but I mean, geez. I've never seen that screen before.
Nice pitch and a strikeout by Verlander. 1 out.
Frustration. Verlander strikes out a guy he was traded for. That's his 4th strikeout. Well, last year, by some tokens, the most incredible year any pitcher's ever had. When you consider his age and coming back from 2 years on the sidelines with Tommy John. Just a phenomenal season for Verlander, his last year with the Astros, culminating with a World Series championship. Zach McKinstry.
Well, Jay Studs, I like you, buddy, but I'm telling you, if you're done with them after this, please don't come back. Because that's just called a bandwagon fan. And I don't appreciate those type of people. And I think you're not one of those guys. So if you're going to be done with a team after game 32 and then show up in game 75 when they're playing better, that's a bandwagon fan. And I don't think you are. I hope you're not. But let's be honest, guys. They're struggling right now. But don't give up on a team that I don't see why people just give up on teams, because you'll be the same fan that shows up in game 100 when they're doing very well. Don't be that fan, because I don't think you are.
It's a shame that younger pitchers don't get that opportunity.
Yeah, they signed Dominic Leone.
He would pitch 250 innings in a year. The reverse spin,
And, well, that is Roberto. He was good 2 years ago. He's been pitching well in the minors. He had under a 2 ERA in the minors before he asked for his release. So, again, another arm in the bullpen can't hurt. Nice pitch.
Particularly the whole third time around thing. The numbers will tell you that overall pitchers struggle third time around batting orders, but wonder if they were given the opportunity to do that on a more regular basis, whether that would change at all.
Hey, strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts after the leadoff double. Nice to see Verlander come back like that. But again, we should be shocked by this, because best pitchers usually let this inning get away. And again, the inning's not over yet. But what you see from Verlander right here is bearing down and getting the job done right now.
Well, I think Major League Baseball is cognizant of the problem, and I think they would like to encourage pitchers to work deeper into games. I think that they understand that starting pitchers as star players need to be more present.
Jeff Brigham is warming up in the bullpen.
Jeff Brigham gets up in the Mets bullpen. And one of the things that they're doing on an experimental basis in the Atlantic League this year is what they call the double hook, which means that when you take your starting pitcher out of the game, you lose the DH, which is an incentive to teach pitchers to work deeper into games.
But who's in charge here? The pitchers don't have a say in the minor. It's
No, I understand. But that's what I'm saying.
It's the organization.
But that's what I'm saying. If they knew that they would be at an offensive disadvantage every time they took a starting pitcher out of the game, the thought is that maybe would encourage organizations to get their starting pitchers to work deeper.
I agree. Like I said, I'm astounded that I look at the minor leagues and see starters down there, these young arms, 5 innings, they're 80 pitches. At the end of the year, they've thrown not 100 innings. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, they feel as though they're protecting them. And, what we see year after year is pitch counts dropping and injuries increasing. So it's not like it's working to protect anybody. Riley Green is homered and had infield hit. He's 2 for 2 today. And he gets one on the ground.
Ground ball, nice play by Jeff.
Sets and fires.
and gets out of the inning. Good pitching by Justin Verlander after the leadoff double. So keeping it 5 runs, 2 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs so far for Justin Verlander. Michael, I don't think it has anything to do with that, because just think of it this way, right? You can count maybe 2 games this year, maybe 3, where the Mets could have used Diaz in a situation where they might have used Robinson in the 8th instead of Ottavino or switched it up. But it hasn't really been that, right? I mean, there hasn't been a lot of opportunities to close out a lot of games. So Diaz hasn't hurt that much. And again, it hasn't been about the bullpen. It's been about the starting pitching and the offense at times. It's either been one or the other. You know, the bullpen has been the best part of this team. And that's not saying a lot, but it has been. Yeah, I know. A lot of people have been talking about it. I've talked about it. Ken talked about it. Cookie's supposed to be back soon. And I know a lot of people are like, oh my God, let's not have Cookie. But he is a guy who takes the ball every 5th day for the most part. And you know what? You need arms at this point. And you know what? Peterson was actually worse than Carrasco, if you can believe it, if you look at the numbers. So, you know, who would you rather have, Denny Reyes or Carlos Carrasco, right? You know, at least Carlos Carrasco can throw a good game every now and then. So, yeah, you know, like I said, the bullpen hasn't been bad. You know, Ottavino gave up the game the other day, but I mean, that happens. But for the most part, the bullpen has been pretty good. For the, you know, if you really think about it, Robinson has been lights out. The problem is the Mets haven't been getting to Robinson enough. And that was the same problem in September last year. You had the best closer in baseball, but the Mets couldn't get leads in the 9th inning to get your best pitcher in the game as a closer in the game in September. That was the other problem. Yeah, I understand that, Michael, but I think that's they're using Diaz as a scapegoat. All right, Alvarez up, top of the 6th, 2-0 Detroit. No, Ken, I don't think he's a bum. I'm saying what people are saying about him. You know, I'm sorry. I'd rather have Carrasco in this lineup than seeing Peterson or a minor league guy. Would be nice, Jay.
Well, he threw 69 at his rehab start from Binghamton last Friday. He's not sitting, which makes me think maybe he's done. Taken high by Alvarez, not like Scherzer stalks around between innings. So it looks like his outing might be complete. We'll have to wait and see. Jim Riggin was throwing while he was pitching the last inning. Back to a cutter.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You know, 80 pitches was the mark for him, and he was at, what, 77? So nice at bat by Alvarez, getting into a full count. Again, he hasn't really been stretched out. So 80 pitches, his next start, he could probably go up to 90, 95, most likely. No, he threw 69 pitches in his rehab start. Michael, there's no moves to make right now. It's too early in the season. One out.
Let's check in with the studio. Gary Apple's Game Break, brought to you by your local Honda dealers. Gary.
All right, Gary, the Rays go in for a sweep of the Pirates in the 4th inning. Randy Arozarena the opposite way is 8th of the year. The Rays looking to go to 26-6 on the season. 17-2 at home. It's 2-0 top of the 6th inning, Gary.
All right, thanks, Gary.
And the Nemo ground ball, nice play, 2 outs.
I think he lost his footing, Gary. Kind of slid on the grass.
Quick 2 outs.
Would be a nice recovery. Let's see. It was intentional? No, he went down on the knee. You're right. Nice play.
That's 8 in a row now, retired by Rodriguez. So Montes, who's an infielder by trade, played the outfield yesterday. But he's looked good playing second base today. Marte has one of the Mets' 2 hits, a pop fly single to center in the 4th. So Gary gave the update on the Rays. Been best team in baseball. And almost the other end of the spectrum is the Cardinals. They took a 2-0 lead on the Angels today. They're now down 11-2 in the fourth, and Jack Flaherty has left the game with injury. Not good. Pop up, Torkelson, and the catch.
Oh, nice catch. Nice play by Rogers. 3 outs going to the bottom of the sixth. No score. That was a quick in. Yeah, exactly. I was just gonna say that the Mets offense, it seems like as soon as they come up the plate, they're right back out on the field playing defense. All right, Jay, have a good day. Well, Michael, and I'm glad you said bring up the kids, because I want to say something about that, right? This is not a direct effect of what Alvarez and Beatty have been doing, because they've been good, right? But prior to Alvarez coming up, and prior to when both Alvarez and Beatty are on the major league roster, the Mets are well under 500 with those two in the lineup, or with those two been playing the majority of the playing time. Prior to their call-ups, when both of them had been on the same team, the Mets had a better record. So what is it, right? I said to everybody, right? And people were like, bring up the kids. I'm like, well, if you bring up the kids and you're losing, and again, it doesn't have to directly mean that they're causing the losses. But people who want to bring up the kids, I said, okay, bring up the kids. I'm fine with that. But remember, don't complain when you're still losing and you got the kids up. So would you rather lose and have the kids up, or lose and not have the kids up? Which one do you want? Because if you're trying to win and you're not doing the job anyway, do you just want to see the kids and say the hell with the season? 28 games, 32 games into the season? No. But the record has been worse with Alvarez and Beatty when they've both been on the team. What is that? I don't know. It has nothing to do with them. Right? But the record is what it is with them on the team. Again, I play the kids. It is what it is, but I don't want people complaining who want the kids out and then still complain that the Mets are losing. Well, then what is it? You can't have it both ways, right? You can't see how the kids do when you're trying to win games and stay in the division. Well, hey, yeah, they're not as good as last year, but then they might not be as good statistically, but runs per game, they are almost exactly the same runs per game. No, they're doing it a lot differently, but they're basically having the same runs per game. Hey, Steven.
And then nothing for the next 4.
Michael, there's no such thing as a rebuild season when you spend all this money. Sorry. It doesn't work like that.
And it was interesting, right? I mean, he got jumped with his curveball early on. Riley Gray hit the home run. He might have kind of abandoning that curveball.
Joe, he has been, yes. He's been really good.
Slider. Big swing by Baez, 2-1.
But Baez, with a couple Hall of Famers right there.
Two guys who used to pitch here in Detroit, reunited with the Mets and back in Detroit for this week.
Steven, way too early to panic.
Well, yesterday, Verlander's were better today. 2 hopper for Lindor, and he throws out his buddy Baez for the first out. So how would you assess what you saw?
I loved what I saw. Even in that first inning when he got
Yeah, Joe, on replay.
he had his fastball from the get-go. 96, 95, that's plenty. He struggled with that curveball.
5 innings, 2 runs, probably the best the Mets pitched in about a week.
Finding the range, but then all of a sudden he hit his
Again,
stride.
Verlander did not let the game get away like the majority of the pitchers did over the last week, right? So that's a good thing to look for. He pitched well. No, had a tough first inning. After that, put up zeros.
3,203 for his career, 10 behind Scherzer for 12th place all time. Those guys have been battling that out all year.
I'll tell you right now.
So certainly encouraging signs from Verlander, but the Mets have been stymied for the first 6 innings. Right?
Yeah, I bet, Steven.
Doesn't look like he's going anywhere soon.
Well, he had that really good year with the Red Sox, and then he got COVID in 2020, and then myocarditis that same year. So he had 2 years of like trouble with that. So
just play single games and stay away from the 2.
Okay, so you're putting the roof on the stadium when?
Well, if I had played it today,
Well, Peter, it's still possible, right?
maybe I could have
You know,
helped.
nobody's, you know,
No.
the Pirates, who are the second best team in baseball record-wise, they just played the best team in baseball and didn't even look like they had a chance. So what do you call that? Are the Pirates good?
The owner could
Who knows?
handle that on his own.
Can you imagine what an expense that would be?
Taking high 3-2. Well, it cost what? $1.5 billion to build the stadium. Probably cost you another $1 billion to put a roof on it.
Think what you have to do. You know, with the current stadium, you have to. Oh,
Maybe you just have to build a whole new stadium.
Remember Jack Murphy?
No, I guarantee it. There's going to be either people later in the game, you know, a couple innings from now, that will complain about Verlander only pitching 5 innings and giving up 2 runs.
3-2 coming.
Yeah, that has been the best pitcher performance for the Mets for like 5 days. Yeah, everybody, again, whoever brings up Verlander coming out of the game after 5,
But your point is well taken. I mean,
clearly don't know how baseball works.
you know, we've made
The guy has not thrown
Mets are an older
and
team,
stretched out yet. He pitched 69 pitches in the rehab start. 80 pitches is basically where you're going to start. Nice pitch by Brigham. 2 outs.
Meantime, strikes out for the 3rd time today. And doubleheaders are hard. They're hard for younger
Well, I
players.
bet if we're playing, we're only 5 games out of first place, which is amazing to me. And the Mets still are trickling around 500, which again, they shouldn't be over 500 the way they've been playing for the last 2 weeks.
But this marathon, which is now, after today, only a fifth of the way done, there's a lot more episodes to play out. It's a call strike to Spencer Torkelson, 0-1. And Verlander and Scherzer have got
Yeah,
to be
the Cardinals look. I mean, that's shocking there. And that Central is up for grabs now.
At whatever age. Oh, that's inside.
Ouch. That hit him.
They get them on the elbow guard. It'll go to first base.
Glancing blow.
Well, Michael, I'm not always positive. I criticize the team, but you also got to criticize the team in ways that actually make sense, not because, oh, this team is terrible, I'm never going to watch them again, and then the Mets go 7-2 in the next 7-3 in the next 10 games, and they're back the happiest fans in the world. You can't have it both ways. You got to be realistic with the team as well. As bad as this team is, they continue to hover over 500, which is still amazing to me. Yeah, it has nothing to do with who wants to be negative, who wants to be positive. You can be negative, that's fine. But realize why you're being negative and just don't say, well, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And still realize that when the Mets were playing the Braves, they were only 3 games out of first place, and they were playing bad. So it doesn't make sense, but they still haven't gone back under 500 over this bad stretch, which is amazing to me. But they're still hovering around the 500 or staying above 500, which they might not be over 500 after today, but
using the wealth of their information gathering to help each other. It's a great dynamic. Very different personalities. 3-1 to Haas.
popped it up. Is it going to stay in play? No. But Ramon, with 32 games into the season, if you're going to think as a fan, oh, let's start trading people, let's start over. 32 games into the season, then why did you watch from game 1? Because you might as well traded everybody in game 1. You're not going to do that, and it doesn't make sense. First off, who are you trading that you don't want on this team next year? Who's going to take $43 million Scherzer or Verlander? Nobody. Ground ball should end the inning. And he got him out. All right. So a solid inning from Brigham. 2-0 Tigers going to the top of the 7th. Excuse me. Yeah, Steve, I'm not even going to blame the rain delay. You know what? They actually gave him rest as well. But you don't start over after 32 games, all right? They got to play better, all right? This is the first time all year that the Mets actually had the majority of their rotation in their rotation. Yet nobody in any argument, and I can assure you any other channel, brought that up. But they'll bring up everything else that has been bad, but don't bring up the one thing that is causing his team that is still scoring the same amount of runs they scored per game last year, this year. I'm sorry. When you had Peterson, when you have McGill, even though McGill has been okay, right? Name the other guys. You've been having spot starters in replace of Scherzer and Verlander for, 3 weeks now? The rotation hasn't been whole. Now, again, you can bitch and moan about Billy Epler for that, right? He chose to go the older route. But the same people who bitch and moan about why'd you turn Verlander, why'd you turn Scherzer, are the same people that were given an ovation when we signed Scherzer. And the same people when DeGrom wasn't going to the Mets. They signed Verlander. People weren't mad about that, right? But here's the problem. The same people who didn't want Verlander and didn't know why we signed Quintana are the same people who said we should have signed Taijuan Walker. Maybe we should have signed Chris Bassett. Yet, again, I think Taijuan Walker would have been a better fit for the Mets than the Phillies, and it's showing right now when he has a 7 ERA. Again, I didn't think it was going to be that bad. But when you got Chris Bassett, who was hovering around the 5.5 ERA, and a 7 ERA for Walker, the Mets would have had to pay more money to those guys, and it would have been pitching just as bad. Back-to-back home runs in the first. Ian. All right, top of the 7, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the Mets. There you go, Consuelo.
He's now 3 for 15 in his career against Rodriguez. Alonso on deck, Pham to follow. And Lindor turns one foul.
Just
down the left
out in
field
front.
side. Committed to the upper deck.
Oh, Michael, that's the whole point of this, right? What the hell? I don't have a channel just because I like baseball. It gives us a chance to vent. It gives me a chance to scream at you guys and complain instead of screaming at the wall. You know, and this is what it's for. I want you guys to vent on my channel. Vent away. That's why it's here. It's not just for me. It's for you guys as well. Dominic Leone, the Mets just picked up and signed, is warming up in the bullpen. Well, Chief, he's pitched better than the last Mets pitchers for the last week. 5 runs, 5 innings, 2 runs. It's a hell of a lot better than what the Mets have been doing. You know, he wasn't going to go past 5 innings and 80 pitches. That just wasn't going to happen today. That was a bad at-bat by Lindor right there.
Rodriguez gets a 7th strikeout.
He has been dastardly. By the way, I just got a text from Barry Lyons. He's managing down the Atlantic League, and they are going to put that rule in. Yep.
Well, they're using some other new rules there that I like, the designated pitch runner, which lost me there. But the double hook is fast.
Alonso's just swinging at those sliders for no reason.
Barry's not happy with it, of course. They said it's going to be instituted on May 16th down there in the Atlantic League. Barry loves the game. I'm glad he's in the game. He teaches a lot of those young kids a lot of things about baseball.
And Alonso strikes out.
Seen that a lot from Alonso this year. When he's bad, he swings at every slider and 3 pitches. It's been crazy.
Change up very much in this game. very sparsely. But he could use it more against a right-hand hitter as far as I'm concerned. It's a very good pitch.
It's a good 2 out. Here's Pham, who has one of the 2 hits for the Mets today.
He pitched Pete right there, let him pitch Pham the last time when he struck him out. Back-to-back changeups.
And got a cutter and fouled back. And it's 0-2. Tommy singled to left in the second. Marte looped a single to center in the fourth, and that's been it. After the Mets were held with 1 run and 5 hits last night, no runs and 2 hits today. Barry's not the only ex-Met working in the Atlantic League while back then.
Yeah, I agree, Ken. When he's struggling, he goes after those sliders. He puts a no contest at bat. Ooh.
On the outside corner. Generous call on the cutter.
All right, so another strikeout for Rodriguez. Going to the bottom of the 7th. 2-0 Tigers. Yeah, look, Ken, I see it as this, right? When Pete Alonso is struggling, he puts up at-bats that are no contest. You know, Lindor's average-wise has been bad. Like, there's no mistake in that, right? But with Lindor, at least he puts an at-bat together, right? Alonso swings at 3 pitches. At least Lindor got it to a full count. Yeah, he struck out, bad at-bat. But it's no contest with Alonso. I don't understand it. It's weird because he looked like a better hitter this year early on. So I don't know what it is. Yeah, you ain't kidding, Ryan. You are not kidding. Well, Alan, I bet Philly fans were saying that last year in April and May and June and July. You know? Bright spots right now? No, I don't. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I mean, look, if I say there's a bright spot, wouldn't you say I'm lying, right? Yeah, there ain't none. Well, Alan, it has been happening again, right? The Braves weren't the best team in 2021, right? They won the division because there was no other team that challenged them. They won the division, but they got hot at the exact right time in 2021. And again, it wasn't the Freemans of the world. It wasn't the Ozunias of the world or the Rileys of the world. It was the Rosarios and the Solers. And Soler's not on the team anymore. And Rosario is a shell of himself than what he was in 2021, right? So, and last year with the Phillies won 87 games. I think Tommy Pham got thrown out of the game. Throwing his bat, throwing his helmet.
Outside and taking it out on his bat and his helmet. That's rolled to 1 run and 5 hits last night. No runs and 2 hits today.
Well, Alan, I didn't say bank on it, but over the last couple of years, look at the teams in the World Series.
Leon, a 9-year veteran, now with his 7th major league team.
Oh, I don't know, Ken, if he had any last year. All right. Dominic Leon is in the game. Mets just signed him. Pitched well 2 years ago. Well, had an injury season last year, I believe. And this year was in the minors and had under a 2 ERA. So we'll see.
Slider misses away, and it's 1-1.
Oh, he had a 1.59 ERA in AAA with Texas.
Had an opt-out in his contract, exercised it, had a number of teams interested in him, and opted to sign with the Mets. Really drives one out to right, chasing Marte back.
Oh, nice catch by Marte. That's the first time I've seen Marte get a great jump on the ball this year. He's had problems in the outfield this year.
And impressive as follow-through.
Alan, I think everybody should know that. And I think people always went with like, oh, look at the Yankees spending all that money and losing. I was never one of those people. I love when teams spend money. But it doesn't allocate success. It never did. You know, the only time that I can think of that a team bought a championship was 2009. That was the Yankees, and that was after not making the playoffs in 2008. They went all in, but that was the same 2009 team that got very old very quickly, and they had to revamp the team. So the fly ball should be 2 outs, and it is. And on top of that, guys, look. How many years in a row have the Phillies been spending more money than the Mets prior to Cohen? They've been spending money for the last 5-6 years, and they finally made the playoffs last year. So you know, it really does add. You know, sometimes look at the Red Sox, right? They spent, you know, they'll win a World Series and then have 2 terrible years in a row and win another World Series. It's weird. I think too many people. There's not an exact way to win because there's been teams that spent a lot of money, like the Dodgers, won a World Series. Same thing like the Yankees in 2009, right? The Red Sox spent a ton of money, won in 2018. You know, let's not act like the Nationals in 2019 didn't spend a lot of money. They signed Strasburg, they signed Corbin and Scherzer. Right? They spent a lot of money too and they won a World Series. We have to remember that as well. Look, the way to win in baseball now, and it's been obvious over the last 5-6 years, get hot at the right time. Get into the playoffs and get hot at the right time.
1-2 coming. And Rogers hits one foul down the right field line. Senga will be on extra rest tomorrow.
Senga is pitching tomorrow on a few days, 8 days of rest. So we'll see how that happens. See how that works out for him. Correct, Ken. I was just going to get to that right after the inning ends. And that goes back to the prior organization, prior regime.
We'll get Antonio Sensatella back to pitch against the Mets tomorrow night. Sensatella's been out since knee surgery last September, so he'll be making his season debut.
And nice inning by Dominic Leone, who the Mets just signed. Yeah, I know, Mike. I was just going to say that too. The Rockies have gotten hot as well, of course. But yeah, Ken, exactly the point. The biggest long-term problem is the prior regime stopped drafting pitching in the draft. They were drafting this guy and that guy. Now, it's great to have position players. I have no problem with that. Like I said, you know, I'd rather have good quality pitchers, but give me really good to great position prospects, right? And I see what the Mets are trying to do here, right? I'd rather have a guy who plays every day than a guy who pitches every 5th day. But when you don't have pitching prospects, as I think Ken is talking about, when you don't have pitching prospects that are coming up through your system, you got to spend a ton of money on starting pitching, which, again, money's no object, but there is a limit for everybody. There's only a certain amount of money you can start adding into the lineup. And I think that's where Ken was going in that part. You have to spend a lot of money because no matter if the Mets didn't get Verlander, didn't get Quintana, and they would have re-signed DeGrom, Walker, and Bassett, it would have cost them just the same amount of money, if not a little bit less, but almost the same amount, a ton of money in that rotation anyway. Because Walker got more than Senga. Bassett got more than Senga. So you're going to pay more for that rotation anyway. So at the end of the day, the rotation was going to be, the money was going to be spent there because the Mets didn't have pitch power. And I think that's where Ken is talking about. Top of the 8, 2-0 Tigers.
That's when Tony said Pujols, and I said, no, I like this young third baseman down there, Cabrera. And sure enough, 4-time batting champ, 2-time MVP, triple crown.
Joe McNeil leads off in the 8th and takes a strike. Zach Short's now playing second base for the Tigers. I think when you talk about
Come on, guys, let's go. 2 more innings. Let's go.
Got on Cabrera. Anybody else who's even in that conversation?
I cannot think of any off the top of my head.
That same pitch he called a strike in the third inning. Now he just called the ball.
Played this century.
He has got to be in that category. No question.
Let's hope so, Michael. Let's hope so.
McNeil thinking about a bunt.
Oh,
Third base.
that was a pitch to hit, not the bunt. But I see what McNeil was trying to do to get on base. Not a bad idea, but it was a good pitch to either bunt or hit.
Texas Rangers, Seattle Mariners.
Avery Beltran.
Yes, he always gets lost in his shots.
You know,
Foul
swinging a
ball.
foul ball. I mean, if you factor in defense, he's obviously a great player in that regard too. But look at the head-to-head between Pujols and Cabrera. Pretty close. I mean, Pujols has more home runs, and he's played the equivalent of what, a couple more years.
Yeah, not quite 2 seasons.
I mean, they're both surefire.
Clock violation. Now it's a full count.
So again, violation by Rodriguez, and both times with McNeil, I believe.
That's exactly right. And both times it's taken a 2-2 count to 3-2, and now McNeil has for time. Last time we got McNeil on a questionable call, third strike. On pitches that appeared to be down. He's got a few close calls today that have gone his way. And McNeil.
All right, fouled it off. Nice at bat by McNeil.
I mean, when you think about Miguel Cabrera, remember when he came up as a 19-year-old with the Marlins? They played him as shortstop. They played him in the outfield. They played him in third base.
Ground ball. Damn it. Right down the line. Ah,
McNeil when he gets there first.
damn it.
For the out.
They were guarding the line.
And it's 13 in a row now retired by Eduardo Rodriguez, 1 out of the 8th.
He has been efficient. Just beats Jeff to the bag.
He'll slide to avoid a collision. And now Marcano, last man to reach for the best was Marte, and a fluke single leading off in the 4th. We're now in the 8th, and Rodriguez trying to get through 8 innings for the second time this year.
This has just been a masterpiece.
About to throw his 100th pitch, which will be the first time he's gone to 100 pitches this year. And this is inside the count of long strike.
Very few pitches missed out over the middle of the plate.
Good way just to put a wrap on Cabrera. That's driven out to center field. Green chasing back. He's there. 2 out.
It's amazing. The Mets look like they hit hard balls, and there's no drive in it.
And I'm a little disappointed on
Ken, I think it's 8, yeah.
To see him play in this series. He's going to be retiring at the end of the year. He's on a bit of a farewell tour this season. But, you know, we had the pleasure of seeing him at the beginning of his career with the Marlins. And, boy, what an incredible run he's had. The thing that I love about Cabrera, Keith, and you know, you were so good at this too. You put him in RBI situations, he just made it simple. Short swing, hit the ball to center field, driving the run.
He can drive the ball to the opposite field here. And I'm looking here, 11 straight years from 2004 to
I agree, Alan. That would be a low point for sure of the season.
over 100 RBI. That's incredible. Led the league in RBI twice.
Escobar drives one out to right, and Verlander goes over to get it.
Hit it hard right at the right fielder. All right. Oh, another quick inning for the Mets. Bottom of the 8 coming up. It is, Scott. It's frustrating. It really is. Absolutely. Ain't nothing good to say. You know what? Again, we all knew Verlander wasn't going to throw 100 pitches today. He threw just under 80, 5 innings, 2 runs. I'm sorry. That's the best pitching the Mets had in about a week. All right. You know, we talked about getting behind early in games almost all the time. When your pitcher only gives up 2 runs, you got to win that ball game. I don't care, you know. And then the bullpen came in and pitched well, and still only 2-0. You know, it's been a trend of the Mets where if it's not the pitching, it's the offense. Has it been a lot of times this year? You know, maybe the West Coast trip where the Mets had some good pitching and some good offense, but it hasn't been both at the same time very much this year. And that's a problem. You know, when the Mets score, it seems like they're losing 8-6 or winning 8-6, you know? And when the Mets are not scoring, excuse me, the pitching shows up. I mean, the pitching has shown up a lot less this year, which is the problem in itself. Well, Ken, see, I mean, that's the point. But again, a lot of people are going to disagree with that. But it's true. The offense, again, when you're scoring 5 runs per ball game, and that's what it's been, I don't care how you bunch runs together, because the Braves do the same thing. They'll score 10 runs one day, and the next day they'll score 2. So they bunch runs together too. So that runs per game is skewed no matter what by any team. But when you score 5 runs per ball game, the X factor is your pitchers can't give up 6 runs per ball game, and that's where they are. The Mets are 6.2 runs per ball game given up per game. You're not going to win games like that. I don't care how much you score. That means the Mets have to spend 7-8 runs per ball game to win a game. You can't win that way. So, bottom of the 8th, 2-0 Detroit. Finally, Rodriguez is done 8 great innings against the Mets. Yeah, Ken, there has been. But look at all the 5-run games they've lost. You can't lose games like that. It should not happen. Well, I hope everybody realizes how predictable the Braves are. They're still a great team. Nobody's going to deny that. But they're another team that bunches runs together. Drew Smith on the mound in the 8th.
This is a foul ball down McKinstry, and it's 1-2. So that's when back-to-back.
Actually, Alan, you can, because as bad as the Mets played, they're still only 5 games out, where they should be much worse.
Mets, if they don't rally today, would fall to 500. It's fouled back. It's lost 8 of their last 10 coming in.
You know, did Met fans bring up the Braves when the Mets were 10 games up? We weren't even talking about the Braves, most of us, right? Should they have been in the same sentence? No, it's not fair to the Mets to not be considered when they're only 5 games out.
I just would not want to come out of this game. I know Rodriguez has got 102 pitches. It's like, it's only a 2-run lead. Let me get that 2-hit shutout.
A ball right to Lindor. 1 out. Well, MTA is something, guy, you have to rely on. I know a lot of us don't like him. I don't like him. But you know what? Again, there's no Diaz. So who else are you going to go to? Right? You went an Ottavino in a spot where Ottavino should have been in that spot, and he gave up the game. That's the problem. You know, we should have won that game the other day. You put your best reliever, one of your best relievers out there. And Ottavino, he didn't get the job done. What is anybody supposed to do in that situation?
Just signing a contract today, worked a 1-2-3 inning. Drew Smith's got the first out in the 8th. Falls beyond on Green 2-0. In the 9th, the Mets will have 9-1-2 in the order of Alvarez, VENMO, and Marte. And then if anybody gets on, Lindor to try to rally in their final at bat.
Well, Ken, I've said this over and over and over again, Ken. Why in the freak? This is why I can't stand Epler with this situation. I hate having only one lefty. You see how many times Mets have been facing teams and they have 2 or 3 lefties? Now, I'm not saying you have 3 lefties in your bullpen, but the Braves have 3 lefties. The Phillies have 3 lefties. The Detroit Tigers have 3 lefties. There's a lot of teams that have 2 or more lefties. I don't understand why the Mets only have 1. It makes no sense, especially when you're in a division when you have Olsen, where you have Albies, where you have give me other guys. When you got Harper, when you got Schwarber, it makes no sense to me.
The scoreboard is full of goose eggs. 3-2 coming. Struck him
Nice
out.
pitch. 2 outs.
Smith throws the fastball by Riley Green, and they're at 2 down. Well, Javi Baez at the back end of the back-to-back home runs.
Curveball. Good hitting by Green. You got to tip your hat there. And then Baez jumps on a fastball up and out over the strike zone. And that's been it. They jumped the shark.
You know where that comes from, right?
No.
It was the episode in Happy Days when they had Fonzie wearing his leather jacket, water skiing, and jumping over a shark.
Oh,
And the implication is that that's when the series went downhill. And that's why jumping the shark now means just going too far and messing something up.
I did not know that.
And inside of Baez.
Oh.
Got hit by that one. And the trainer's going to come out along with A.J. Hinch to see if Baez is okay. We'll keep
Ouch.
following Javi, trying to get those hands out of the way. Couldn't.
Ball ran in.
Ouch.
Oh, it got him too.
And that ball wasn't that far inside either. He went right into that pitch.
They'll stay in the game. Left hand late a little bit.
So a 2-out hits batsman. Again, that was a good pitch.
Second time in this
That was-
series, Baez has been
honestly,
hit.
that was a little in.
One of the doubleheaders.
I mean,
Yeah,
Baez just ran into that.
That set the stage for Eric Haas's game-winning hit. Baez is still in a lot of pain. Fredo Meziga, first base coach, seeing if he can give any assistance. Pete Alonso has been hit plenty of times. He can commiserate with his former teammate. Nick Maton will be the batter, trying to avoid the dreaded golden sombrero. With up 3 times, struck out all 3, twice against Verlander, once against Brigham.
Come on, Drew, let's go.
Smith in the 8th. Fastball upstairs for ball 1. Tomorrow night at Citi Field, Kodai Senga against Antonio Senzatella.
Well, it's not about being calm because I can criticize my team and not look like a fool when you criticize me. Come on, guys. I have JL, who's a Braves fan that has more faith in the Mets than Mets fans. Most Mets fans do. Ooh, that was close.
Why not try it? It's the guy who's still trying to shake off the pain of getting hit. 1-1 to Maton. And that's upstairs. 2 balls and a strike coming up tonight at 11.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his numbers, they're not bad. You know, he'll have a game here and there where it's just he can't do anything. But it's like once a week that happens. But he's been pretty good for the most part. If you really look at the numbers, if you dive deep into it. Oh, nice pitch.
It's 2-2 to Maton. Baez at first with 2 down. And Maton hits it sharply toward the middle.
Ground ball should end the inning, and it does. So nice inning by Drew Smith. Mets last licks down by 2, 9-1-2. Mets got the guys you want up. You got Alvarez, you got Nimmo, and you got Marte. Well, KTU, what do you want them to do? It's May 4th. There ain't no big trades happening to help this team. Right? You brought up Beatty, you brought up Alvarez, right? The kids are doing well. but you're still losing with them. So what do you do next? Now, I think too many people are jumping to conclusions. And like you said, KTU, that I'm calm, but you can criticize your team and act like an adult at the same time. All right? I don't need to, have smoke coming out of my ears and look like a baby, like somebody took my pacifier, to explain why I'm disappointed in my team. You can criticize your team and be negative about them. But you also have to take a step back and look at all the factors to why they're not playing well, right? The Mets runs per game. Again, everybody wants to kill the offense, right? Where were the people when the Mets went 7-3 on the road trip and they were scoring 7 runs per ball game in that West Coast trip? And let's keep on going, right? Once again, the people who are criticizing the lineup only criticize the lineup when they have a game like today. But when they lost to the Braves 8-6, they were nowhere to be found. You can't do that and criticize a team that you don't have stats to back it up, right? The same people who are going to bring up average, oh, the Mets are 27th in average, are the same people that don't care about average. So don't not care about average, but care about average when you're trying to make a point. It doesn't work like that, right? Why do people care how you score your runs, right? When somebody brought up the point, well, the Mets score their runs in bulks. Well, the Rays do the same thing. The Braves do the same thing. So the runs per games are skewed by every team, not just the Mets. All right? Top of the ninth, 9-1-2 for the Mets. See if they can come back in this ballgame.
Overall, if you take a wider view, this series right now against Detroit, obviously not going the Mets' way. They're in a stretch of
absolutely, KTU. But, you got to be strategic when you criticize. Again, I'm not saying everybody's going to be right when you criticize everything. Because when you criticize everything, you're not looking at the whole picture. You're just criticizing because of that day, right? The Mets are not scoring today, right? I guarantee you, if the Mets come back and win 3-2, the people won't criticize about the game, about the offense, because they won 3-2. Daniel Vogelbach is pinch hitter for Alvarez, which is not a bad move, and I'll tell you why. You're losing by 2. Alvarez is more of a free swinger, more of a strikeout guy. Vogelbach is a guy who can work a walk. So I don't dislike this because one swing doesn't change the game.
Another fastball in for a strike. So the guy who's known for his curveball has come out throwing fastballs.
Umpire's been calling the low strike.
Adam Beck, home plate umpire, has been consistent with that borderline low knee-high strike. Or I should say pitch. He's called it a strike.
Tries to change up that misses 2-2.
Yeah, I agree. Again, Alvarez is the free swinger for the most part, more of a strikeout guy. You need base runners. And Vogelbach has been good as of late. There you go, full count. Good at bat. And then if Vogelbach gets on, you'll probably pinch run.
They've been stymied all day long. Hoping to figure out a way to rally here in the ninth and salvage something from their trip to the Motor City. A 27-year-old Dallas Lang delivers the 3-2 to Vogelbach. And he struck him out with a breaking ball.
Nice pitch.
That is some hard curve that Alex Lang displays.
Sharp and tight and breaks down.
3-2 curveball.
Gets under the bat. Look at the late break.
That was a nasty pitch.
Circle on that ball.
Well, you had to swing at that pitch. It was going to be a strike.
It is 16 Mets in a row.
All right, 1 out. Nimmo up. Nimmo has been struggling as of late. Average is under 300 for the first time this year.
Fastball away from ball one. Ryan was a first-round pick by the Cubs out of LSU. And he has taken the closer's role for the Tigers. That's driven to left field, falling fast.
And that's a base hit for Nimmo. All right, 1 out hit. All right, that was close, but the left fielder was playing in. He almost got that. Never can. If he did, or if he was like a guy who let go of with one hand, he would get to those pitches.
Outer half goes with it.
So now
All right.
chance for Marte.
Tie and run at the plate.
Single in the fourth, 1 for 3 today. Tying run at the plate in the 2-0 game in the ninth. And Marte takes a sinker out of the strike zone for ball 1.
Oh, solid.
More on deck. Let's looking for some ninth inning magic. The wind has turned around and started blowing in for the first time in this series.
Nice
time.
pitch.
Swing and miss at a fastball. It's 1-1. All day yesterday, for the first part of today, the wind's been blowing out. And now it's blowing in. Nimmo at first and 1 out. He's running. The pitch outside, the throw to second, and he's out. What is he doing? You're down by 2 runs in the ninth. Why are you trying to steal?
Why are you stealing? That was a bad base running play. Why? You're down by 2 runs.
Second runner that Rogers thrown out today. He got Pham in the second inning, and that one's incomprehensible.
And he hasn't really tried for a stolen base in multiple games. I tell you what, this catcher can throw too.
So 2 out and nobody on. A 1-2 count to Marte. And he takes a 1-2 and I just don't understand. How are you running down by 2 runs in the ninth?
Get tagged on the head before you go down. You can't run. You just can't. Now you get Lindor out of the equation.
And Marte goes down swinging.
And the Mets get swept in Detroit. Bad baseball all around. Hitting, pitching, even though pitching wasn't really a problem today. And now bad base running that kind of destroyed the inning. I don't know what Nimmo, and this is not smart of Nimmo, even though Nimmo's usually a pretty good base runner. So I don't know what he was doing there. Yeah, that was, I don't know what Nimmo was doing. And this is not the first time that happened. This happened 3 times this year. But the Mets played terrible baseball. But you also got to give credit to the Tigers. Let's be honest, right? They took advantage of every single mistake the Mets made. And it was defensive mistakes, lack of offense, bad pitching, except for today. Today was good pitching. There's a situation where the offensive gets all the blame because you gave up 2 runs. Not bad. After the Mets have been giving up basically 5 runs per ball game. And there's no way in hell you get any type of positive energy coming from me after this sweep. Verlander was good. You expected what you're supposed to get from him for your first game back. 80 pitches was the limit. He wasn't going to pitch more than that. I wouldn't say a bad first inning. 2 bad balls that he thrown over the wall. After that, he gave you zeros. He gave you offense a chance to come back. Bullpen came in, gave you a chance to offense to come back. After that, there's no any other positive situations. You get swept. They deserve all the fire that is coming to them, all the heat. Again, criticize the shit out of this team. Well, KT, that might become a problem in June and July and August. And once again, the things you didn't see that you don't like to see is bad base running and bad defense, right? That was apparent over the last week or so. Yeah, exactly. And that is that is the problem. That is continuing to be the problem. Again, you can't run yourself out of an inning. You're down by 2 runs. Nimmo should be glued to first base, especially when you got your number 2 hitter and possibly your number 3 hitter coming up. And that is the problem when it's going bad. You can't make it worse by making stupid brain farts situations. That's exactly what happened. Right? And this is a situation where I'm going to talk about coaching as well, right? Nimmo is usually a pretty good base runner. He doesn't usually make stupid decisions on the base path. But you also got a first base coach out there. You also got a manager who is supposed to put signs to their first base coach. How about telling Nimmo, hey, by no means try to steal? That can also be said, all right? You know, that is a situation where Nimmo was trying to provide a spark. Stupid play, no denying that. But he was trying to make a spark or bring some energy. But you also can't make a stupid play, and that was a stupid play there. But you also have a coach there that says, hey, no stealing in this spot. There's no need to. That was clearly a decision where Nimmo took off on his own. But Michael, no, because it looked like Marte was taking that pitch. So, no. I just think that now Nimmo, I feel like he was trying to make us trying to provide some type of spark, a little bit of energy. But you can't do it in that spot. It's too risky. So, well, JL, that's kind of hard to say because of the fact that the Phillies had 5 months of bad baseball and they made the World Series. So you can't predict that. So, well, Avadia, they went on Monday, the game 2, right? I mean, it's embarrassing. They lost to Detroit. You can't do that. You can't get swept by Detroit. You can't. You lose 2 out of 3, you're like, all right, that sucks within itself. No, you don't pay. No, Steven. No, that's completely false. Nimmo was not a base stealer. He never was, never will be. Because of the rules, they're trying to make him something he's not. That situation is common sense baseball. Everybody who plays baseball knows you don't steal a base in that spot. You're down by 2 runs. Now, if you were down by 1 run, I could see you trying to take a risk there. But it wasn't a good jump, number 1. Number 2, he was out by a mile. So, 1, he got a bad jump. Nimmo's not a base stealer, so I don't expect him to stop thinking he got a bad jump. I'm sorry. Simple baseball 101. You don't steal in that spot. And this is 3 times this year this happened late in the game. Twice with Marte. Once with Marte, once with Lindor, and now once with Nimmo. You can't do that. That is stupid. And that's why you can't, especially when you're going bad and you're in a slump, you can't give the teams outs like that. It doesn't help the cause. Yeah, he should have got smacked in the face with that attempt. Yeah, but Michael, at the same time, you could tell it wasn't a good jump because he was out by a mile. And again, this comes back to the fact that, listen, I have no problem with Nimmo trying to steal some bases during the season. But when you're not a base stealer and you're in a spot where you shouldn't be stealing a base, this comes to a point where it's either the player. Now, the coaches gave too much rope to Nimmo, right? They trusted Nimmo not to steal. He took it upon himself to steal. It's unfortunate. G-Man, in that spot, I think Nimmo took off on his own. I don't think Buck's going to call a stolen base in that play. I can criticize Buck a lot in this season so far, but I'm not going to criticize him for a call. I doubt they called that. All right, because Buck should be fired tomorrow if he called a stolen base there. What I think Nimmo thought, at least I hope he thought, and somebody should ask him that in the post game. But you don't steal in that spot. That's baseball 101. I don't care if you're in high school, travel ball, college, and especially the pros. And you've seen it 3 times this year by 3 different runners. It's stupid. And that's a situation where the Mets have been showing nothing offensively. And when you're not showing anything and there's no energy and no offense at all, players start to do too much. And in that spot, Nimmo tried to do too much. Now, if he stole the base and was safe, it's still a stupid thing to do. But it might have provided a spark, but we won't know that because it never happened. So, unfortunately, terribly disappointing, you get swept by the Detroit Tigers where you can't get swept by the Detroit Tigers. Losing 2 or 3 is already a disaster. Getting swept is a catastrophe. Nothing else to say there. Right? One positive that we can bring up, Verlander pitched well. 2 innings and 5 innings, 2 runs. Again, he wasn't going to pass 80 pitches. Doesn't matter, Dominic. You don't steal that base. And Ken is the biggest fan of Nimmo that I've ever seen in my life. Even Ken said that's a stupid play. You do not steal in that spot. Has nothing to do with nobody hitting. It doesn't matter. You have Marte and Lindor coming up. 2 guys that can take a ball deep. You do not steal a base in that spot. That is a bad baseball play. You don't do that. It doesn't matter if you're hitting or not, because stealing second base doesn't make a difference. If Nimmo comes to score, it's 2-1. It's not a tie game. No, Dominic, he wouldn't be praised for getting that base. It's too risky of a play in that spot. Sorry, Dominic, I'm not going to give you credit for that. You don't get praise for making a stupid play, even if it works. It's a terrible play by Nimmo. There is no making it out to be better. It doesn't matter if your team's not hitting. Because put it this way, if Nimmo scores, it's 2-1. That's it. It's a bad baseball play by Nimmo. And I don't say that a lot about Nimmo on the base path. Nimmo is one of the better base runners in baseball. Not stolen bases, base runners. You don't do that in that spot. But I'm going to blame Nimmo about 85%, and the other 15% is going to the first base coach. You have to tell Nimmo, even if you think he's a smart base runner, just put it in his ear. Hey, no exception. Do not steal. Yeah, exactly. I'm not saying Nimmo's a bad base. Look, Nimmo's not a bad base runner, and he's not a bad player. But you also can't be stupid in that situation either. So the Mets lose 2-0, get swept by the Detroit Tigers, coming back home to face a hot Colorado Rockies team at home, where I'm going to be very honest with you. These players better expect a lot of boos at Citi Field tomorrow. I'll tell you that right now. So the Mets are at 500, 16-16. Mets better get going some way, somehow. We got Senga on the mound tomorrow. He's had enough days off. So I don't want to hear, the pitch count. Only 5 innings. Get it done tomorrow. By all means necessary, win the fucking ball game. Plain and simple. There is no strategic way, a plan. Go out there, pitch well, and provide some offense. How about that? No, Alan, you don't say that as a fan. Don't keep losing, heads will roll. All right, that's a loser's mentality. You don't do that. How about the guys you're paying money to get the job done? How about that? That's it. All right, you don't want to lose 32 games into the season. Let's keep losing, because that doesn't solve any problem at all. I'm like, what heads do you want to roll? Like, fire Buck? Okay, fire Buck. All right, this is not the same situation where it's Joe Girardi, where the players couldn't stand him. It just doesn't work. Like, firing a coach, what is that going to solve? Right? What are you going to change up? bring up Vientos and Mauricio, fine. But again, this is the first time in a week where the Mets had good pitching. So, unfortunately, the offense didn't show up today. Listen, it's very simple tomorrow. Come out tomorrow. I don't care about a pitch count for Senga. I don't care about how many innings. I don't want to hear about rest. I don't want to hear about transition. I want Senga on the mound to dominate the Rockies tomorrow. I want to see him get to the fucking 6th inning. I want to see this offense do everything they can to put runs on the board. They're facing a pitcher tomorrow that is coming back for the first time since last September. Win the ball game at all costs tomorrow. All right? All hands on deck. I don't care if you got to use every pitcher in the bullpen. I don't give a shit. Everybody off your bench, you got to win tomorrow. Get back in the W column. Do not look as lifeless as you did in 3 games in Detroit. Well, Tom, I agree with you. But they are at 500. And they haven't been under 500 yet. That's why I'm saying tomorrow is probably one of the must-wins of the season. Now, you could have said today was a must-win. I'm not going to fight you on that. But the game's over. Can't change it. Tomorrow is one of the first must-wins of the season. Because you can't come back home and look dead. Right? You brush it off, take a shower, brush it off, cry on the plane, whatever you got to do. Come tomorrow and smell blood. That's what they have to do. I want to see a team play desperate tomorrow. That's what I want to see. I want to see a team that looks like they need to win tomorrow, because tomorrow is the first must-win of the season. Now, again, I'm not going to fight you if you wanted today to be the must-win. But when you're coming home and struggling against, yes, a Rockies team that's been hot, but also a Rockies team that is a bad team. They got a pitcher on the mound tomorrow that hasn't pitched in over a year. W tomorrow. 100% win tomorrow. Alan, I see, people who are predicting win totals is laughable to me. It is. Because you can't predict shit. You, me, Joe Schmo, or this fucking bobblehead. You can't predict anything, all right? Because no fan predicted the Padres and the Phillies in September in the NLCS, all right? You can't predict it. And to act like we know what we're going to predict, we can predict what's going to happen, is embarrassing as a baseball fan. That's including myself. I'm not leaving myself out of that either, all right? Let's stop predicting how many wins matter. Because you know what? What if 85 wins get you into the playoffs? Because it didn't matter how many wins the Phillies had last year. It didn't matter how many wins the Braves had, even though they won the division with their, 91 wins? 90 wins? And they won the World Series? Stop worrying about win totals. Because win totals only matter if you don't make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs with 85 wins, who gives a shit? Get in, right? If baseball hasn't told you that over the last 5 years, you haven't been watching. Stop predicting and make the playoffs by any means necessary. It took the last week of the season for the Phillies to make the playoffs. Did they bitch, moan, and cry in the playoffs? No. Did they feel sorry for themselves because they were the third wild card? No. Stop worrying about that. Right? At the end of the day, let's just look at it. Since everybody wants to bring up win totals, let's just have some fun. Since nobody is having fun right now, obviously, right? Let's just look at it. All right, Phillies. There was Met fans saying the Phillies are better than the Mets, 15 and 17. They ain't looking so good, right? They just got Harper back, wonderful, right? Let's look. Cardinals. People thought they would run away with that division, 10 and 21. Some might say, hey, Cardinals are better than the Mets. Well, they're 10 and 21. Let's squash that. Dodgers, 19 and 13. Mets took 2 out of 3 against them. But they did, right? Are the Dodgers a bad team since the Mets beat them? Probably not. The Arizona Diamondbacks, playing well, 17 and 14. San Diego Padres, only 2 games over 500, 17 and 15, right? Let's look. Cleveland, 14 and 17. Let's see. Texas, 18 and 12. Hey, pretty good, right? Houston, World Series champions in 1 game over 500. Seattle finally made the playoffs this year, 14 and 16. So there's one thing that I can talk about. There ain't a lot of good teams in baseball, but there still has to be how many teams from each league? 6, no matter what their records are, right? Right now, the New York Mets are 1 game out of the last wildcard spot. You know, for people who saying the season's over, this is a nice little conversation we can have. I'm not asking for a lot. We can make predictions all we want, especially with records, but records don't mean nothing at all. It matters to get into the playoffs. That's it. Because the NL Central, you might win the division with 86 wins. Look at the Indians, the Guardians last year. What did they have? 89 wins last year? 88 wins? How many? I'm curious. I'm really curious. I see. I don't even know if I can do that. How can I do that? Let's see. They changed the ballpark app, and I'm all confused now. Let's see. Hold on. All right. Can I change the year? That would be nice. Hold on 1 second. I just want to see something. 92 wins. 92 wins. They won the division by 11 games with 92 wins. Right? The Dodgers lost the division with winning 107 wins. Yet they went further than the Giants. Right? The record doesn't matter, guys. It's just a matter of getting into the playoffs. And right now, for a playoff spot, if you want to look at records, the Mets are 1 game out of a wild card spot. And 5 games, 5.5, might be 6 by the end of the night for the division, right? Yeah, well, look, you know, we always look at players that they should be like the fans. That's never going to happen, all right? You're never going to get players like that. Not anymore. Todd, that's a good one. That Ottavino loss kind of hurt. That sucked. That kind of like started the trickle-down effect of shitness that we've seen in Detroit. I know that's not a word, but I'm using it. Well, Allen, what are they going to do with the money? He can't do anything with money right now. You can't buy anybody right now. You can't even make a big trade right now. It's not happening. So I want people to not worry about predicting wins totals right now because that's irrelevant. Because if 85 wins gets you to the third wild card spot, you'll take it because you're in the playoffs. Because all you got to do is get hot at the right time, as the Phillies shown, as the Braves shown in 2021, as the Nationals shown in 2019. Todd, I don't think he can't be. And look, if Verlander pitches like this, he pitched well today. I'm not saying great because he didn't pitch great. He didn't pitch long enough to pitch great, but I didn't think he was going to pitch long enough today. But when he stretches out a little bit more, next start, he'll probably throw 90, 95 pitches. Let's see him. I think next time he pitches, let me see. Let's check the schedule. Let me see. Let me try to do a little bit of all right, let's see. So he pitched today, obviously. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so he's going to face Cincinnati the first game of the series, as long as there's no rainouts or anything like that, right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. He'll pitch against Cincinnati. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He would pitch the third game against the Nationals. So Cincinnati and Washington. Teams that are not good. Let's see what he can do. He should put up good numbers, right? Considering he's Verlander. But it's going to come down to, look, we're coming home. Look, we're facing bad teams over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games. We got Colorado, Cincinnati, and Washington. All right? Lately, that hasn't mean nothing for the Mets. But this is an opportunity with the struggling Mets team to wake the fuck up. Very simple. You're coming back home. Show something. You got embarrassed in Detroit. This should make them mad. You should come out angry tomorrow night at Citi Field. Angry. Yeah, oh no, Alan, I have no problem with predicting expectations. But the Phillies had expectations last year prior to the season as well. But those same expectations, when I went to Philadelphia on August 20th, Philly fans were very much walking out of the building when the Mets were beating the hell out of them. Walking out. And were saying this team was a disgrace. I guarantee you they were there in October when they were winning. Right? So expectations are basically the next day's starting pitcher. Right? 32 games, Met fans are walking out. But there'll be the same Met fans here in August if the Mets are in a playoff spot. Right? Right? And that's the problem too, right? Todd just said the Phillies pitching is bad. Well, who didn't predict that? I did. Well, Alan, they still can. We're acting like they're like 20 games out of a playoff spot. They're one game out of a playoff wild card for teams that are actually not playing well either. And again, who cares if the Mets win 85 games and it gets them in the playoffs somehow, some way? Why can't they be the team to get hot at the right time? Right? The same people who bitch, moan, and complain that, oh, the worst time to have a bad stretch is in September. They should have had a bad stretch in April. Well, they're having it early on. Wasn't that some of the people what they wanted? Because the same people who walked out on the team in April, and if the Mets are having a red hot September and running into the playoffs hot, will be the same fan clapping like a crazy person, which they should. Be a fan. Don't be a bandwagon fan. Those ones I hate. Look, I'm there every step of the way. And I believe most of you guys are too. Right? If I can call out Brave fans and Philly fans and Dodger fans who only show up when their team wins, but don't show up when their team loses, I will call out Met fans as well. Because one thing I hate more than anything, look, you want to criticize, you want to be negative towards a team that you root for, I'm all for that. That's called a fan. But when you show up when things are bad and criticize, and when things are good, you are a no-show, which some people in this stream who I haven't seen, when the Mets, during this West Coast trip, the guys who were criticism, some of them, were nowhere to be found. But they're showing up now. And I'm not going to bring up names. I think you guys can see this. Right? Like the guy who keeps on talking about the 2015 Mets. Like that really matters for 2023. Why does that matter? Because the end result of 2015 mean something. It doesn't. Listen, at the rate with these National League teams, the way they're going, because the second best team in National League is the Pittsburgh Pirates. It was a no contest against the Rays. So are they a good team? Or maybe they're just playing bad teams in the Central. How about that one, right? You know, we look at it in certain different ways. And that's okay, right? We all got our opinions. But here's the fact. The Mets better come out tomorrow. I want to see anger. I want to see pissed off Mets tomorrow. I want to see tomorrow coming out like tomorrow is the only thing that matters. Because tomorrow's the first must win of the season. Now, if you want to argue that today was a must win, I'm not going to argue with that. I can get on board with that. But you are coming back home after a disgusting performance in Detroit. You better come back home mad as all hell because there will be angry Mets fans at Citi Field over the next 3 days. And when the Mets get called out, here are your 2023 New York Mets. There's going to be a lot of boos. So, Alan, it doesn't matter if the Mets are the 6th team, the 3rd team in, it doesn't matter. Make the playoffs. That's it. Can I agree with that? I'm telling you right now, this is the problem with not having a backup first baseman. And even that last year didn't really stop Buck from playing Alonso every single day. How about now? He's going to come up with the excuse, oh, well, we're in a losing streak. We can't sit Alonso. I'd fucking sit Alonso tomorrow. I don't care if you have to play Vogel back at first base. I think Alonso needs a day off. That's just me. And you know what? People will complain. People will bitch. Well, trade deadline, you can't spend. You can trade, but again, we go back to that same issue. What are you trading? Right? If Beatty and Alvarez are going to be staying in this roster, you're not trading them, right? Because then you're going to have Escobar and Nito playing every day then if you trade those guys. People want Mauricio and Vientos up. Well, who are you trading? The Mets have no pitching prospects. Who are you trading? There's your problem. So let's not worry about the trade deadline yet. We got 2 months for that. All right? The Mets are at 500. Tomorrow, once again, before we go, is the first Mets must-win of the season. They're at a breaking point here. 32 games into the season. They're at exactly 500. Must win. First time this year is a must win. Very simple. Come out angry, pissed off that you no-showed in Detroit. No pitch count. I don't want to hear about. He had 8 days off. Kodai Senga. This guy better throw 95 pitches. He better perform. I don't want to see 5 innings. I want at least 6 innings. Must win tomorrow. With that said, guys, Mets are 16-16. Just got swept today against the Detroit Tigers. They lost 2-0 today. The offense did not show up. The pitcher showed up. 2 runs, you should win. Well, at this point, I just want to give Alonso a day off because he looks like he needs it. That's right. Come out angry, pissed off. If you don't come out angry and pissed off after this performance, easy. Sports is sports, all right? You got to come out pissed off and angry tomorrow. Like, what are they supposed to do? Lolly-doll into Citi Field? Skip into Citi Field tomorrow with a smile on their face? You got embarrassed in Detroit by a bad team. Ah, Todd, look at that one. Interesting. Now, again, I don't like to use history as expectation for this year, but let's be honest, that's exactly what happened. Not saying that will happen, but people who like to bring up history don't like to bring up that type of history. Why? Because it doesn't fit their argument. That's the problem. But you can come out angry in baseball and perform, right? The Mets didn't come out. You know what they came out today? They came out like a depressed team. Like, oh, feel sorry for us today. That's the way they came out. That's embarrassing. And I want to hear Nimmo what he said.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not good. But if there's any benefit to this team, we've got a lot of veteran guys who've been through a lot of stuff before.
I want to hear Nimmo about it.
Been in this position before or not been, as great as they would like in the first couple months. Max was on the Nationals team that did not do very well. Turned things around. The Braves were not in the greatest position.
Nimmo's talking exactly what Todd talked about.
Caught us at the end. So it's about being constant, trying not to ride the ups and downs, and just keep the work going, and trusting the process that you're gonna come back around and you're gonna start playing well as a team again.
As consistent as the lineup was last year, why do you think that has not really been the case this year?
And I guess if I could put my finger on it, we probably would be more consistent. But just right now, we're having a few guys that aren't clicking together, and so you hope that sometimes that one guy can kind of carry the load. And we've kind of got multiple guys in the middle of our lineup right now, me included. Obviously, I'm a huge part of that. I'm not getting on base, and so therefore I'm not producing those opportunities for those guys behind me. But we're just all kind of not clicking right now, and that was something we were able to avoid last year. And for some reason, it's all kind of come to a head for a couple of weeks here now.
In the future, you're on first base in that kind of situation again.
Here's the question.
Do you think you're 10 out of 10? Do you do it, or do you think
Now there's a second thought, in my head. Now there's obviously that.
Nimmo just said he knew he made the mistake.
I haven't thrown out the one time, so I don't know. I guess we'll have to leave that for another time, but it's probably not a good chance of it in the near future.
There you go. See, he just admitted to the fact that it was a dumb play by him. So for anybody who's trying to make an excuse for that, he just said it. It was a mistake. He tried to make something happen, but he knew it was a mistake. Second thought. There you go. Clubhouse issues? No. I don't know. You got too many veterans and you got too many good guys on his team to have clubhouse issues. It's not clubhouse issues. They're not playing well right now. Nimmo just said it. They're not playing well right now. They're not clicking as a team right now, as a lineup. And that look, every team in baseball goes through a spell, right? But here's the issue. We got spoiled last year. And you'd be like, what, Rob? Spoiled as Mets fans? Yeah. Because the first 3 months of the season, well, the first 2 months, the Mets did not lose a series. So we got very spoiled in the fact that this team was consistently playing well. And I think we got a little spoiled with that. And that's why September, when it came crashing down in September, we were shell-shocked. So, what are you going to do? Hold on, guys. I got a phone call. Give me one. Sorry about that. That was the boss. All right. So once again, guys, I don't want to see stupid mistakes. I want to see a team that, I'm not talking about angry, like show me your mean face on the field. No. I want to see a focused team tomorrow. I want to see a team that don't make stupid mistakes like Nimmo did in the 9th inning. Right? You finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less than 2 outs. And you finally get somebody on with less But Michael, who cares about the payroll? Because the Phillies, the Yankees have high payrolls as well. The Padres have high payrolls as well. They're hovering around the same records as the Mets. So we're not the only fans saying that. Stop talking about the money. The money doesn't make any sense when people bring that up. It doesn't matter. It's focused, yes, but that does not matter because all the teams that are spending money right now are not playing well. They're hovering around 500 just like the Mets right now. So let's not talk about the money. All right? It's the play on the field. All right? That's it. Money doesn't matter at this point. I get why people bring it up, but that really does not matter because the Padres are only 2 games over 500. They're not playing well. The Phillies, who have a high payroll, are 2 games under 500. I agree, Michael. That's it. I just want to see focus tomorrow. I want to see them. Look, you're not going to win every game. We understand that, right? But I want to see a crisp game tomorrow. I want to see the defense not make mistakes. I don't want to see stupid base running like Nimmo did, right? I want to see better at-bats. Put together a better at-bat. Look, you're not going to get a hit every time. You fail in baseball more than you succeed, right? That's a known fact, right? You fail at the plate more than you. Okay, Michael. But I can. It's my channel. Right? I can tell you. I'm not saying not to talk about anything, but you're bringing up money that does not make no sense when there's teams that are that have the highest payrolls in baseball other than the Mets that are not playing well right now. But you're not going to bring them up, right? The Padres ain't doing well. The Phillies aren't doing well. The Yankees are not doing well. And they're well over $250 million payrolls. So we can bring up money all we want. But you can't throw money on the field and have them win. They're not playing well right now. But the Pirates are playing well. The Rays are playing well. The Orioles are playing well. And their payrolls are nowhere near any of those teams. We can't predict that. So money has nothing to do with anything. Now, it's going to be a talking point because that's what drives people with that stuff, right? But the 2 last teams in the National League Championship Series had high payrolls last year. The Padres and the Phillies, and both of them had terrible seasons, considering record-wise, and they both made the NLCS. So we can't predict it. Money's not all of the issue. You're going to bring it up because they're the highest payroll in baseball, and not saying you shouldn't, but that has nothing to do with the play on the field. It never did. If you believe that, then you're not paying attention to baseball. But with that said, the Mets got swept by Detroit. They lost 2-0 today. Tomorrow, I want to see a focused Mets team, and tomorrow is the first must-win of the season. Let's make it happen. Bandwagon fans, don't come back. Don't even waste your time. Go to another channel. Come back here tomorrow. You can criticize your team, but let's make it happen. All right? Let's root on our team, but criticize them at the same time. You're allowed to do that as fans, right? We pay money for cable. We pay money for tickets. We pay money for this team. That's fine, Ken. That's fine. But I don't want people here who only come when they lose and complain about it. But when they win, they're nowhere to be found. Show up at all times. Now, I'm not saying show up to the channel. I'm talking about, right? Show up for your team, right? Don't bitch and moan when they lose, and then when they win, you have a zipper on your mouth. It doesn't work like that, right? People are busy. I'm not saying to come on my channel and be here every second of every day, win or lose. No. But it's a trend when you see the people who saying, "Oh, I didn't have time to talk today, but I was listening." That's fine. And then come tomorrow and say, "Oh, this team is terrible," and then the Mets win that day, and then they don't talk after that. Look, I love this team just as much as you guys do. I'm pissed off right now because they suck right now. They haven't played well this year. Exactly, easy. Right? But they are at 500. Just like many other good teams in this league right now. I just brought it up. Philly's under 2 games under 500. Do they get a pass because they made the World Series last year? Last year doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Right? The Braves lost in the first round of the playoffs. They played one more game in the Mets in the playoffs. Should they look back to last year? I don't see them doing that. Don't look at last year. Don't bring up any other year because it does not matter about this year. So here we go. Tomorrow, I think the game's at 7, right? Or do they do that stupid thing with 6:40? Yes, no. 7:10. First pitch. I'll be doing it live tomorrow. Right? I know some people will probably be like, oh, okay. I'm doing it live tomorrow. If you can't make it, I understand. People are busy. We got jobs. If you can make it, I have no problem with you criticizing. But let's make sure that you're here to support this damn team. Win or lose. Right? We're Met fans. We should be better than other fans. The shit that we go through. Right? Must win tomorrow, guys. Mets are 16-16 on the season. I will see you 6:45 tomorrow right here on Talking Mets with Rob. Come here tomorrow. They're back home. Must win. First must win of the season. Big win needed tomorrow. See you guys tomorrow. As always, Met fans, let's go Mets. See you next time, guys. Have a good night.
Thrilling. Awesome. Let's take a look.